For centuries, they've remained hidden, silent relics of a forgotten world, buried beneath the Earth's surface, waiting to reveal their secrets. Ancient structures that defy the logic of their time, artifacts too advanced for their era. These are not mere relics. They are windows to a past we can barely comprehend. What truths lie within these forgotten tombs and ruins? What mysteries are waiting to rewrite the story of humanity? Join us as we uncover 3 hours of bizarre archaeological discoveries that have remained shrouded in secrecy, waiting to challenge everything we thought we knew. Let's explore the enigma together. Beneath the towering ruins of Teotihuacan, in the heart of modern-day Mexico, there lies a mystery buried deep within the earth. The ancient city, once one of the most powerful and influential in the Americas, holds a secret that still baffles archaeologists and historians alike, a labyrinth of tunnels filled with liquid mercury. These tunnels, discovered in the early 2000s beneath the Temple of the Feathered Serpent, or Quetzalcoatl, are unlike any other archaeological finding of their kind. Inside them, researchers found an unusual substance, mercury, in liquid form, lining the walls and floors. What was its purpose, and why was it used in such quantities in a place of such significance? Teotihuacan, which flourished between 100 BC and 550 AD, was a city unlike any other. Its grand pyramids and meticulously planned streets suggest a civilization that valued order and cosmic alignment. But as archaeologists continue to unearth the secrets of this city, questions about its rulers, its rituals, and its purpose in the broader context of ancient civilization remain unanswered. The presence of liquid mercury beneath the Temple of Quetzalcoatl is one of the most perplexing discoveries at Teotihuacan. Mercury, known for its toxicity and rarity, was believed to have mystical properties in many ancient cultures. In Mesoamerican societies, the substance was often linked to the gods, the afterlife, and the cosmic forces that governed the world. But why was it hidden so deep within the earth, and why in such great abundance? Some scholars propose that the mercury could have been a symbolic representation of the underworld. Teotihuacan was, after all, a city of profound spiritual significance, and its rulers were thought to have direct access to the gods. The liquid metal might have been seen as a representation of the sacred waters that connected the mortal realm to the divine, serving as a conduit to the heavens, or perhaps the underworld. Other theories suggest a more practical explanation. The mercury might have been used as a ritual offering or even a form of protection. Some believe that the liquid mercury was intended to ward off tomb robbers or other intruders, with its toxic properties serving as a deterrent. In this interpretation, the mercury was not just symbolic, but functional, designed to create a barrier against desecration. Yet there are also more speculative ideas. Could the presence of mercury in such vast quantities indicate an advanced understanding of chemistry or metallurgy far ahead of its time? Some even wonder if the ancient people of Teotihuacan possessed knowledge or technologies lost to history, perhaps even knowledge passed down from a more ancient civilization, now forgotten. Was there, perhaps, an unknown connection between Teotihuacan and distant cultures, as some suggest, across the ancient world? One of the most intriguing aspects of these tunnels is the sheer scale of the discovery. Researchers have uncovered multiple chambers, some reaching depths of several meters, lined with a mixture of liquid mercury and other materials, including fragments of turquoise, jade, and shells. These items, often associated with high-status rituals, suggest that the site was not just a place of burial, but a focal point for ceremonies of great importance, perhaps even royal rites. The deeper we explore, the more questions arise. How did the people of Teotihuacan obtain such large quantities of mercury in the first place? What were their methods of extraction? And why was it necessary to place this hazardous substance in such an elaborate and secretive underground system? The mystery continues to grow with each new discovery, hinting at a depth of knowledge and belief that we are only beginning to understand. Yet even as we uncover more of the secrets beneath Teotihuacan, the true purpose of the Mercury tunnels remains elusive. Was it a message to the gods? A physical manifestation of the sacred? Or perhaps something even more extraordinary, an ancient technology that we have yet to comprehend? As the search for answers continues, one thing remains clear. The story of Teotihuacan is far from over, and beneath its surface, hidden in the quiet darkness of these mercury-filled tunnels, lie mysteries that may never be fully understood. What else remains hidden, waiting to be discovered? As we continue our journey through the enigmatic corners of ancient history, we shift our focus to a site that, while far less known than Teotihuacan, holds mysteries just as deep and unsettling. Nestled in the heart of central Turkey, Aşıklı Höyük, often considered one of the oldest known settlements in the world, has quietly been revealing its secrets for over a century. Yet, despite its significance, the full story of this ancient site remains a puzzle, one that raises as many questions as it answers. The story of Aşıklı Höyük begins with its striking landscape, rolling hills that cradle a wide, fertile valley, offering a glimpse into the world of prehistoric Anatolia. The site itself is perched atop a small mound, almost like a quiet sentinel overlooking the surrounding plains. It's here, amid the whispers of wind and the soft rustling of olive trees, that the remnants of an ancient civilization, lost to time, await rediscovery. Archaeologists first unearthed Aşıklı Höyük in the early 1980s, and since then, the site has yielded a wealth of information. The settlement, which dates back to around 8000 BC, predates the rise of Sumer in Mesopotamia and even the ancient cities of Egypt, making it a crucial piece in understanding the dawn of urbanization. What makes Aşıklı Höyük truly intriguing, however, is not only its age but its layout, an arrangement that challenges our understanding of early human society. Unlike many other early settlements, Aşıklı Höyük is built in an unusually organized fashion, with large, well-constructed buildings made of stone. These buildings appear to have been used not just for living, but for communal activities, with some evidence suggesting they were centers for ritual or spiritual practices. The level of planning and construction suggests that its inhabitants possessed a knowledge of architecture and social organization far beyond what one might expect from a society in this early period. Yet, the most mysterious aspect of Aşıklı Höyük is the discovery of its ceremonial structures. Beneath the soil, archaeologists have uncovered large, circular stone foundations, each intricately arranged in patterns that don't appear to serve any utilitarian purpose. The site is dotted with carefully constructed platforms, suggesting that these spaces were used for religious or cultural rituals. The architecture hints at a level of symbolic meaning that goes beyond mere shelter and suggests a profound connection between the physical space and the spiritual or cosmic beliefs of its people. But perhaps the most perplexing discovery at Aşıklı Höyük lies in the site's burial practices. In the layers of soil beneath the stone buildings, archaeologists have uncovered human remains, some buried with elaborate offerings, others with objects that seem out of place, such as animal figurines or finely crafted pottery. What do these offerings signify, and why were some individuals given such elaborate graves while others were simply laid to rest without ceremony? These rituals suggest a complex social structure, yet their exact purpose remains unclear. One of the more fascinating and unexplained elements of Aşıklı Höyük is the presence of large stone pillars, standing stones, as they are sometimes called. These pillars, some of which are over a meter tall, are arranged in a manner that suggests they were placed deliberately, perhaps as markers or symbols. Their function is still debated among archaeologists. Were they meant to represent gods, ancestral figures, or the forces of nature? Or could they have been astronomical markers, pointing to the movements of the stars and planets? Could the ancient people of Aşıklı Höyük have understood celestial phenomena in ways that are only now becoming apparent? These standing stones are not isolated to Aşıklı Höyük. Similar structures have been found in other parts of the region, such as at Göbekli Tepe, which lies a few hundred kilometers to the southeast. But unlike the megalithic pillars of Göbekli Tepe, which are often interpreted as part of a vast religious or ceremonial complex, the pillars at Aşıklı Höyük appear to serve a different function, more intimate, perhaps, and more tightly woven into the daily lives of the community. Yet, just like the larger sites, their true purpose remains elusive. As we consider the significance of Aşıklı Höyük, we are forced to confront the questions that this site presents. What drove these early humans to build with such care and precision? Why did they dedicate so much effort to creating ceremonial spaces, to arranging stones in mysterious patterns, and to conducting rituals whose meaning has long since vanished from the historical record? The age of Aşıklı Höyük alone places it in an extraordinary context, one that suggests the people who lived here were not simply primitive survivors, but were instead part of a culture that had a profound connection to the earth, the heavens, and the spiritual realms. Were these early Anatolians simply laying the foundation for what would later become the great civilizations of the ancient world? Or did they possess knowledge and understanding that we have yet to fully comprehend? As more discoveries are made at Aşıklı Höyük, we are reminded of the vastness of human history and the mysteries still waiting to be uncovered. What other secrets lie hidden beneath the earth, waiting for the right questions to be asked? Perhaps as we dig deeper into the past, we may find that the answers were never as far away as we thought. The stones, the burial sites, and the artifacts of Aşıklı Höyük continue to speak to us, quietly, patiently, reminding us that there is still so much we have yet to understand. As we leave behind the mysteries of Aşıklı Höyük, we travel south to the rugged highlands of Peru, where the landscape gives birth to another enigma, one that remains as perplexing as it is awe-inspiring. Here, hidden deep in the Andean foothills, lies a site known as Sayhuite. At first glance, it might seem like just another ancient ruin, a collection of stone structures scattered across the plateau. But beneath its surface, Sayhuite holds a puzzle that has confounded archaeologists and scholars for decades. Sayhuite, located in the Peruvian Andes, is not a typical archaeological site. It is marked by a labyrinth of intricately carved stones, each piece carefully shaped and placed, creating a network of narrow passageways and hidden chambers. These stones, many of which are etched with geometric patterns and strange symbols, give the impression of a vast, ancient puzzle. Unlike the grandiose temples or pyramids found in other ancient civilizations, Sayhuite presents itself as a site of quiet mystery, built not for spectacle, but for a purpose far more obscure. The site was first brought to attention in the 1990s, though evidence suggests that it was built long before European explorers set foot in the Americas. Radiocarbon dating places Sayhuite's construction somewhere around 500 BC, a time when the Andean cultures were still in the early stages of development. Yet, what they left behind is not a simple village or ceremonial center, but something far more advanced. A network of channels, terraces, and carved stones that raise more questions than answers. What is immediately striking about Sayhuite is the system of water channels that run through the site. These channels are not merely decorative. They are part of a complex network that seems to have been engineered with a specific, though unknown, purpose in mind. Some scholars have speculated that the channels were used for irrigation, providing a steady supply of water to the surrounding crops in an arid region. However, others have suggested that the water system was not agricultural at all, but rather ceremonial, perhaps tied to rituals of fertility or life-giving forces. One of the most perplexing features of the site is the arrangement of carved stones, many of which bear enigmatic carvings. Some of these carvings appear to depict animals, others geometric shapes, and a few resemble symbols that bear a resemblance to the ancient icons found in other Andean cultures. But these carvings are not simply decorative. Many of the stones have been placed in specific locations within the water system, as though they are part of a greater, hidden function. Among the most striking discoveries are the so-called water fountains, stone structures that seem to have been designed to channel water in elaborate ways. Some have suggested that these fountains might have been used for ritual purposes, perhaps to invoke the sacred waters of the Andean mountains. Others argue that the mechanisms might have served as early hydraulic technology, manipulating water for practical uses like creating irrigation or controlling the flow of water for ceremonial events. But the exact function of these fountains remains elusive. What's more curious is the fact that these water channels and carved stones seem to align with astronomical events. Researchers have noticed that certain channels appear to align with the sun's position at specific times of the year, hinting at a possible connection between Sayhuite and the celestial bodies. Was the site constructed with a profound understanding of astronomy and the movements of the heavens? Could the site have been an astronomical observatory, or perhaps a place where water and the cosmos were thought to be intimately connected? As we move deeper into the mystery, it becomes apparent that the people who built Sayhuite were no ordinary stoneworkers. The precision of their engineering, especially in terms of water management, suggests a level of technological expertise that is rare for this time period. But what knowledge did they possess that allowed them to build such an intricate and functional water system? And how did they develop such an advanced understanding of hydraulics, seemingly ahead of their time? One theory posits that the builders of Sayhuite were influenced by a now-lost culture, one that had access to knowledge far beyond what we typically associate with ancient Andean societies. Could there have been an ancient exchange of knowledge between Sayhuite and other distant civilizations, such as those in Egypt or Mesopotamia? Or was this technology purely the result of local ingenuity, developed independently by the people of the Andes? There are also those who believe that Sayhuite's creators may have had a connection to the gods. The presence of water, often considered a sacred and life-giving element in many ancient cultures, combined with the intricate carvings and the alignment with celestial events, suggests that the site may have been built not just for practical purposes, but for spiritual ones as well. Was Sayhuite a sacred space, a place where water and the heavens were believed to converge in ritual and worship? Or was it something else entirely, a place built for a forgotten purpose that we have yet to understand? Perhaps most intriguing of all is the fact that, despite decades of research and excavation, no definitive explanation for the purpose of Sayhuite has emerged. Some believe that its secrets may lie in its very complexity, its labyrinthine channels and strange symbols, its alignment with the stars and the flow of water, all pointing to a hidden meaning that is just out of reach. What if Sayhuite is not a puzzle meant to be solved in a single lifetime, but rather a riddle designed to stretch across generations? As we stand among the stones of Sayhuite, we are left with more questions than answers. Why did the builders go to such lengths to create this elaborate water-based labyrinth? What role did water play in the spiritual life of the people who constructed it? And what does the site's complexity say about the technological and intellectual capabilities of the civilization that created it? As the water flows silently through the ancient channels of Sayhuite, we are reminded that some mysteries are meant to be pondered, not solved. And as we continue our exploration of the bizarre and unexplained, we can't help but wonder what other ancient enigmas, waiting in the shadows of history, still remain hidden from view. What other secrets are buried beneath the earth, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves? As we journey deeper into the forgotten corners of ancient history, we come across yet another peculiar and haunting site, hidden in the remote landscape of modern-day Pakistan. Here, on the banks of the river Indus, lies Dharamrajika, a prehistoric archaeological site that continues to defy easy interpretation. It is a place that seems to whisper of ancient rituals, lost knowledge, and a civilization whose traces have all but vanished, leaving behind only a series of enigmatic stone platforms that raise more questions than answers. Dharamrajika is not a place that many have heard of, and yet it holds a profound mystery. These stone platforms, arranged in specific, deliberate patterns across the landscape, are some of the most puzzling structures left behind by ancient peoples. Unlike the grand temples and palaces of other ancient cultures, the stone platforms at Dharamrajika are simple yet compelling. They are low, wide, and meticulously constructed, their surfaces smoothed by time and erosion, but their purpose remains obscure. The site was discovered in the early 20th century, though its true significance wasn't fully appreciated until more recent excavations began to reveal the depth of its complexity. The platforms themselves vary in size, with some measuring up to 20 feet across, and they are scattered across a broad expanse of land. What is most striking, however, is the precision with which they are arranged. Some are aligned with the cardinal directions, others with the flow of the river, suggesting a deliberate plan behind their placement. These aren't random stones left behind by a wandering nomadic people. They are part of a carefully crafted, organized system that seems to serve a specific, though unknown, purpose. The mainstream explanation for these stone platforms has often been that they were used as ritual sites or altars. Their placement, sometimes in isolated locations and sometimes grouped together in clusters, hints at a ceremonial role, possibly linked to ancient religious practices. Some scholars believe the platforms may have been used for offerings, rites of passage, or as places for communal gatherings. The connection between these platforms and the river, which has long been central to the lives of the people in this region, is also significant. Water, as we've seen in other ancient cultures, often symbolized life, purification, or divine power. Could these platforms have been part of a ritual to honor the river's life-giving properties? Or could they have been constructed to mark celestial events, with the stones aligning with specific points in the sky, much like the megalithic structures of ancient Europe? But while this theory remains the most widely accepted, it does not fully explain the more peculiar aspects of the site. For one, there is no clear indication of what the people of Dharamrajika might have believed or worshipped. Unlike the well-documented religious practices of other ancient civilizations, there are no known written records, no identifiable deities, no grand temples or monuments, just these stone platforms, scattered across the land like forgotten markers, waiting to tell their story. This absence of cultural context raises a deeper question. Who were the people who built Dharamrajika? What drove them to create such an elaborate and deliberate structure, and why did they choose to leave behind such a peculiar and isolated site? What makes the mystery of Dharamrajika even more captivating is the potential connection it holds with other ancient sites across South Asia. Some researchers have pointed out the similarities between the stone platforms at Dharamrajika and the ceremonial centers found in the Indus Valley civilization, which flourished nearby. Could there have been a cultural exchange between these early peoples, or perhaps even a shared belief system that extended across different regions? If so, what does this tell us about the spiritual and social networks of these ancient societies, and how they may have influenced one another? Yet, even as we consider these possibilities, the mystery deepens. The stone platforms at Dharamrajika seem to have been intentionally constructed over a long period of time, and their scattered distribution across the landscape suggests that they were not part of a single, unified settlement, but rather an interconnected network. Were these platforms built by different groups with similar religious or ceremonial beliefs? Or could they have been part of a larger, regional civilization that we have yet to fully uncover? One of the most intriguing theories surrounding Dharamrajika is the idea that the platforms may not have been ceremonial at all, but rather functional, perhaps a form of ancient technology or an early form of irrigation. Some have speculated that the platforms could have been used to control water flow in the surrounding landscape, possibly diverting the river for agricultural purposes. Given the proximity to the Indus River, this theory is not entirely implausible. Could these platforms have been part of an ancient water management system, allowing early inhabitants to harness the power of the river to their advantage? If so, why is there no concrete evidence of a larger infrastructure designed for irrigation? And why are the platforms scattered rather than arranged in a systematic manner? Another possible theory is that the platforms might have served as a type of ancient astronomical observatory. The alignment of some of the platforms with the cardinal directions and their placement in relation to the river could point to a deliberate connection with celestial events. Could the people of Dharamrajika have used the platforms to track the movement of the stars, or to align their calendars with the cycles of the moon and sun? If so, this would suggest a level of astronomical knowledge far ahead of its time, hinting at a sophisticated understanding of the cosmos. But without more concrete evidence, this remains a tantalizing possibility, one that adds to the site's aura of mystery. Yet, despite all the theories and speculation, the true purpose of the Dharamrajika platforms remains elusive. Were they sites of ritual, astronomical observatories, or early technological advancements? Or were they something entirely different, perhaps a testament to a lost culture or belief system that has vanished without a trace? As we stand before the stone platforms of Dharamrajika, we are reminded of how little we truly know about the ancient world. Each stone, placed so deliberately in its place, seems to whisper of an ancient wisdom, one that has slipped through the cracks of time, leaving behind only these quiet, enduring markers. And as we continue to peel back the layers of history, we are left to wonder, what other secrets lie buried beneath the soil, waiting to be discovered? What other mysteries are still waiting for us to uncover in the shadows of forgotten civilizations? As we leave behind the enigmatic stone platforms of Dharamrajika, we venture into another extraordinary landscape, where nature and human ingenuity seem to have merged into one surreal spectacle. Nestled within the heart of central Turkey lies Göreme, a place so otherworldly that it might seem more like a scene from a fantasy novel than a site of ancient history. Here, in the region known as Cappadocia, lies a series of rock structures, carved into soft volcanic stone, that have puzzled historians, archaeologists, and explorers for centuries. Göreme's rock-hewn landscapes are unlike any other. The towering fairy chimneys, tall, thin spires of rock that seem to rise from the earth like sentinels, are the most recognizable feature of this landscape. But as you wander deeper into this region, you begin to notice something far more remarkable. Entire towns, churches, and even entire cave complexes, intricately carved from the rock itself. It's as if the people who lived here didn't simply work with the land. They shaped it, molded it, and made it their own. The sight of these ancient structures, carved into the very mountainsides, evokes a sense of wonder and curiosity. How did they build such a vast network of living spaces, temples, and entire communities within the rock? The history of Göreme stretches back thousands of years. It is believed that the first settlers arrived in the area as early as 2000 BC, drawn to the unique geography of Cappadocia. The soft volcanic tuff that covers the region is relatively easy to carve, yet incredibly stable once shaped. Over time, these early inhabitants began to hollow out the rock, creating a vast network of homes, churches, and even entire underground cities. But while the region's unique geology made it possible for people to carve out such intricate structures, the question remains: what was the true purpose of these vast subterranean networks? The Göreme Open Air Museum, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, provides some insight into the complexity and spiritual significance of the region. The museum is home to a collection of Byzantine-era rock-cut churches and monasteries, some of which date back to the 4th century AD. Inside these stone sanctuaries, ancient frescoes still cover the walls, vibrant depictions of saints, angels, and scenes from the life of Christ. The fact that these churches were carved directly into the rock and decorated with such exquisite artwork speaks to the profound importance of the site. But as beautiful and well documented as these churches are, they represent only a fraction of the mysteries hidden in the region. What remains more enigmatic are the countless other caves, tunnels, and chambers that have yet to be fully explored or explained. In some parts of Göreme, entire cities were carved into the earth, multi-level complexes that housed thousands of people, complete with ventilation shafts, wells, and storage rooms. These underground cities, such as those at Derinkuyu and Kaimakli, stretched down for multiple levels, creating a subterranean labyrinth. What drove these ancient people to build such vast underground complexes? And why did they need such extensive hiding places, buried beneath the earth itself? Some believe that these underground cities were built to protect the inhabitants from invading forces. Throughout history, Cappadocia was a region that faced numerous attacks, from Persian and Roman armies to later Mongol invasions. The rock-cut cities would have offered a perfect refuge, shielding people from outside threats. But could there have been other reasons for such elaborate constructions? Could these caves and tunnels have served a spiritual or ritualistic purpose, perhaps linked to the belief systems of the early Christian communities that lived in the area? Adding to the mystery is the peculiar design of some of the structures. In Göreme, some of the carved spaces seem to be too intricate, too meticulously planned to simply be dwellings or defensive shelters. The presence of large, complex frescoes and symbols in many of these spaces suggests that the people who lived here may have had a deep connection to the divine, creating places not just for survival, but for worship and reflection. Could the region's cave churches have been designed to mirror the heavens? Was there a deeper symbolic meaning to the way the rock was carved, aligning with celestial events or cosmic principles? Some researchers have proposed a more speculative theory. Could Göreme and its surrounding region have served as a center for ancient knowledge, perhaps even a place where advanced technologies were developed or preserved? The complexity of the subterranean cities, combined with the unique and sophisticated designs of the rock-cut churches, suggests that the people of Cappadocia were no ordinary stone carvers. The precision with which they created these spaces, combined with the vastness of the underground networks, hints at a lost knowledge or forgotten science that we have yet to fully understand. What makes this theory all the more intriguing is the fact that there are other ancient sites scattered across the world that share similar features. Some scholars have pointed to the striking resemblance between Göreme's underground cities and other ancient megalithic sites, such as those in Egypt, Mesopotamia, and even Central America. Could there have been an ancient global network of knowledge, one that transcended borders and cultures? If so, how did this knowledge survive for so long, and why has it been so difficult to uncover? As we explore Göreme's labyrinthine tunnels and its carved rock churches, we are faced with more questions than answers. Why did the people of Cappadocia go to such extraordinary lengths to carve entire cities out of stone? What hidden knowledge or belief systems did they seek to preserve in the rock? And could there be an even greater mystery buried beneath the earth, waiting to be uncovered? Göreme's rock structures are an enduring testament to the ingenuity and resilience of the ancient people who lived there. But as we stand before these magnificent stone creations, we are reminded that some mysteries remain locked away in time. The true purpose of Göreme's underground cities, its temples, and its labyrinthine passages may never be fully understood. But one thing is certain. As long as the rock formations of Cappadocia endure, they will continue to hold secrets, secrets that might one day change the way we view the ancient world. Until then, we are left to wonder, what else lies hidden in the shadows of Göreme's stone, waiting for the right moment to be revealed? As we leave behind the fantastical landscapes of Göreme and journey across time and space, we find ourselves drawn to a distant, forgotten shore, the once thriving port of Adulis. Situated along the Red Sea, near what is now Eritrea, Adulis was a bustling hub of trade and culture, its ships sailing to the farthest reaches of the ancient world. Today, however, it lies buried beneath the shifting sands of history, its exact location lost to time. Yet, the mystery of Adulis persists, its story a haunting reminder of the fragility of human legacy and the secrets the earth still holds. Adulis, in its prime, was a vibrant port city, a crucial crossroads where traders from the Mediterranean, Africa, Arabia, and India converged. For centuries, it stood as a symbol of the power and influence of the Kingdom of Aksum, an ancient civilization that once ruled over a vast region that spanned from the highlands of Ethiopia to the shores of the Red Sea. The port itself, with its access to key maritime routes, enabled Aksum to become one of the great commercial empires of antiquity, rivaling even the mighty Roman Empire in terms of wealth and prestige. But despite its importance, Adulis eventually faded from the historical record, and its precise location remains one of the most compelling archaeological mysteries of the ancient world. What we know about Adulis comes largely from the writings of ancient historians and travelers. Strabo, the Greek geographer, described Adulis as a well-known port of the Red Sea, where ships arrived from regions as far-flung as India and Palestine, exchanging goods such as spices, ivory, and gold. The bustling market of Adulis was said to be filled with traders from across the known world, and its harbor was large enough to accommodate fleets of vessels. The city, with its temples and palaces, was a testament to the wealth and power of the Aksumite kingdom, and its strategic location on the Red Sea made it indispensable for trade between the East and the West. But despite the city's prominence in ancient trade routes, Adulis seems to have disappeared from history around the 7th century AD, its precise decline tied to a combination of shifting trade patterns and the rise of new empires in the region. As the centuries passed, the once thriving port was gradually forgotten, its ruins swallowed by the sands of time. But where exactly did Adulis stand? And what happened to the city and its people? For many years, historians and archaeologists have been on the hunt for Adulis's lost remains. The search has focused on the area surrounding the town of Zula, near the mouth of the Zula River, where ancient texts and local legends suggested the port might have once been located. Excavations in this region have uncovered a number of ancient ruins, including stone structures, inscriptions, and fragments of pottery. But the elusive city of Adulis itself has yet to be definitively found. What we do know is that the search for Adulis has taken on a mythical quality, with each discovery adding another piece to the puzzle. Yet the final image remains incomplete. Some scholars have proposed that the city of Adulis was intentionally abandoned, its decline hastened by the rise of Islamic powers in the 7th century. With the expansion of the Arabian caliphates, trade routes shifted, and Adulis may have lost its strategic importance. Others suggest that natural disasters, such as earthquakes or flooding, may have played a role in the city's demise. The region surrounding Adulis is seismically active, and it's possible that the port's infrastructure could have been severely damaged or even destroyed in the aftermath of a catastrophic event. Another intriguing theory posits that the decline of Adulis was not just a result of external factors, but internal ones as well. The kingdom of Aksum itself, despite its vast wealth and influence, faced significant challenges in the centuries following the city's peak. As the empire began to fragment, the once great port of Adulis may have lost the political and economic support it needed to survive. Without the backing of a powerful kingdom, the city could have gradually fallen into disrepair, its inhabitants seeking better opportunities elsewhere. But perhaps the most fascinating question surrounding the loss of Adulis is the possibility that the city's secrets lie hidden beneath the very waters that made it so prosperous. Could Adulis have fallen beneath the sea, swallowed by the very tides that once brought it prosperity? There are a number of shipwrecks off the coast of Eritrea and the Red Sea, some of which date back to the time of Adulis, and it is not impossible that the port itself could have been submerged by rising sea levels or catastrophic flooding. Could the remains of this great city still rest beneath the waves, waiting to be discovered by those brave enough to venture into its depths? The search for Adulis has also raised questions about the nature of the Aksumite civilization itself. The Aksumites were pioneers of ancient technology, known for their impressive achievements in architecture, engineering, and agriculture. They built monumental obelisks, created a sophisticated system of coinage, and developed a written script that was used for centuries. The ruins of Adulis, if they were ever to be fully uncovered, might provide us with even more insight into the technological and cultural innovations of this ancient civilization. What other secrets lie hidden in the city's ruins? And what can they tell us about a society that once rivaled the great empires of the ancient world? While the search for Adulis continues, the mystery of its location remains unresolved. Scholars continue to debate the exact whereabouts of the city, with some suggesting that the ruins might lie buried beneath the shifting sands of the Red Sea coastline, while others believe they may be located further inland, where ancient texts once described the city's location. Yet, despite all of the theories and speculation, one thing is certain. Adulis's story is far from over. As technology advances and new archaeological methods emerge, it's possible that the lost port of Adulis could one day be rediscovered, revealing its long-hidden secrets to the world. Until that day comes, we are left to wonder, what really happened to Adulis? Was it lost to the changing tides of history, or does it lie waiting, its stones and inscriptions hidden just beneath the surface, waiting for a new generation of explorers to unlock the mystery of this once great port? What forgotten truths might still lie buried in the sands and waters of the Red Sea, waiting to be discovered once again? As we continue to unravel the mysteries of the ancient world, we now turn our attention to a towering structure that once stood as a beacon of power and religious significance, the Ziggurat of Dur-Kurigalzu. Located in the heart of Mesopotamia, near the modern city of Baghdad in Iraq, this colossal ziggurat stands as a testament to the grandeur and ambition of the ancient Kassite dynasty, yet it holds within it more questions than answers. Like many ancient sites, it is both a marvel of engineering and an enigma wrapped in the shrouds of time. The ziggurat, once part of the city of Dur-Kurigalzu, rises from the flat, desolate plains of the Mesopotamian landscape. Its imposing structure, made of mud brick and still partially intact despite centuries of neglect, gives the impression of a lost civilization, standing as a silent witness to an era long past. The stepped pyramid reaches toward the sky, each tier smaller than the last, its uppermost platform thought to have held a grand temple dedicated to the chief god of the Kassites, Enlil. The sheer scale of the ziggurat hints at the power and influence Dur-Kurigalzu once held. But as we gaze upon the remnants of this once majestic monument, we are reminded of the mysteries that continue to surround it. Dur-Kurigalzu was established in the 14th century BC by King Kurigalzu I, during a time when the Kassite dynasty ruled over Babylonia. The city was built to serve as a royal center and was strategically located along vital trade routes. It was a city of political and religious significance, and the ziggurat was its centerpiece, a symbol of both divine and royal authority. The Kassites, though not as famous as the Babylonians or Assyrians, were known for their advanced metallurgy, art, and architecture. They built cities that rivaled those of the more well-known civilizations of Mesopotamia, and their ziggurats were some of the most impressive structures of their time. But despite its grandeur, much of what we know about Dur-Kurigalzu remains elusive. While the ziggurat itself has been partially restored, much of the surrounding city has yet to be excavated, and there are still many unknowns about the city's layout, its people, and its eventual decline. The fact that the site was abandoned and largely forgotten for centuries adds to its mystique. Why did such a powerful city fade from history? Was it a result of military conquest, natural disaster, or perhaps something more mysterious? One of the most puzzling aspects of the Ziggurat of Dur-Kurigalzu is the lack of detailed records about its construction. The Kassites were known for their meticulous record-keeping, but very little has been found that describes the construction process or purpose of the ziggurat in any great detail. Archaeologists have discovered inscriptions, primarily from later rulers, but these records do not offer the full picture. Why were these monumental structures built with such devotion and care? Was the ziggurat intended solely for religious purposes, or did it serve as a symbol of royal power and dominance over the land? The architectural features of the ziggurat itself raise additional questions. Unlike other Mesopotamian ziggurats, such as those at Ur or Nippur, the Ziggurat of Dur-Kurigalzu is uniquely designed. It is smaller than some of its counterparts, yet its structure is particularly complex, with multiple layers of brickwork and a distinctive stepped design. Some believe that its shape may have been symbolic, representing the heavens or serving as a cosmic ladder for the gods to descend upon. The Kassites, it seems, were particularly keen on incorporating cosmic symbolism into their architecture. But did they simply follow the architectural traditions of earlier civilizations, or did they innovate upon them in ways we have yet to fully understand? Adding to the intrigue is the unusual positioning of the ziggurat itself. While most ziggurats were built at the heart of their cities, Dur-Kurigalzu's ziggurat seems to have been placed at a slight distance from the main urban center. This raises the question of whether it was meant to stand apart as a sacred, elevated space, or if it once had a different role within the city, perhaps related to astronomical observation, or as part of a grander city plan that has yet to be fully uncovered. Some theorize that the ziggurat's position and alignment with the surrounding terrain could suggest a deliberate attempt to integrate the building with celestial events, linking the king's divine right to the heavens themselves. Despite its monumental scale and strategic significance, Dur-Kurigalzu eventually fell into ruin, as most ancient cities do. By the 7th century BC, the Kassite dynasty was in decline, and the city was largely abandoned. The reasons for its fall remain unclear. Some scholars attribute its collapse to invasions by the Elamites or Assyrians, but there is little concrete evidence to suggest a specific cause. Others have speculated that environmental factors, such as the silting up of trade routes or a change in the course of the Tigris River, may have contributed to the city's decline. However, there is a persistent, more mysterious theory. Was the city's fall tied to a shift in spiritual or political ideology? Did the Kassites, perhaps, lose faith in the very divine powers that had once supported their rule? The Ziggurat of Dur-Kurigalzu continues to evoke questions about the ancient Kassite civilization and its cultural and religious practices. Despite its remarkable engineering and historical significance, much about the ziggurat remains shrouded in mystery. What was the true role of this immense structure in the city's life? Was it a site of royal power, religious worship, or both? And why did such a grand city, with its powerful ruler and impressive architecture, fade into the dust of history? As we stand before the remnants of the Ziggurat of Dur-Kurigalzu, its massive, silent form seems to whisper its secrets to us across the millennia. But just as the Kassites left little behind in terms of written records, the true meaning of their greatest architectural achievement remains elusive. What did the people of Dur-Kurigalzu believe as they looked up at this towering structure, and how did they understand their place in the cosmos? Was the ziggurat a bridge between earth and heaven, or something more? Perhaps in time, the mysteries of this lost city will reveal themselves. Until then, The Ziggurat of Dur-Kurigalzu stands as a monument not only to ancient power, but to the enduring questions that time has left behind. As we leave behind the ancient stepped pyramids of Mesopotamia, we now travel to the misty hills of Ireland, where another ancient mystery awaits. High on the slopes of Loughcrew, in the heart of County Meath, lies a collection of prehistoric monuments that have been both a source of awe and perplexity for archaeologists and historians alike. The Loughcrew Cairns, ancient burial mounds that date back over 5,000 years, stand as silent, weathered sentinels, guarding secrets from a time long lost. The cairns, scattered across the lush landscape, form part of an intricate prehistoric cemetery and ritual complex. These large stone-built structures, which once served as tombs for the elite of Neolithic society, rise above the rolling hills like ancient markers to the unknown. Their purpose is unclear, and yet they speak to a civilization that understood not just how to shape the earth, but how to shape the passage of time itself. The most famous of the Loughcrew Cairns is Cairn T, a large passage tomb that sits atop one of the highest points in the region. Cairn T, like the others, is a complex structure of stones carefully placed to form a circular mound. The mound is ringed by massive weathered stones, some of which are decorated with intricate carvings, spirals, zigzags, and other geometric patterns whose meaning has long been lost to time. Inside the cairn, a long passage leads to a central chamber, where the remains of the deceased were once placed. The architecture of Cairn T is both simple and sophisticated, with an understanding of structure that has baffled archaeologists for centuries. But what makes this tomb truly extraordinary is what happens during the equinoxes. On the mornings of the spring and autumn equinoxes, a remarkable event occurs at Cairn T. As the sun rises, its rays shine directly down the passageway, illuminating the inner chamber with a shaft of light that seems almost otherworldly. This solar alignment suggests that the builders of the cairn not only understood the cycle of the seasons, but also had an intimate connection to the cosmos. Was this a mere coincidence, or did the builders of the cairn intentionally design it to align with the celestial events? The precision of the design is staggering. This alignment speaks to a sophisticated understanding of astronomy, suggesting that the people who built the cairns had knowledge of the movements of the sun and stars that is often attributed to more advanced cultures. However, the mystery does not end with the astronomical alignment. There are many other unanswered questions surrounding the cairns. Who were the people who constructed these monumental structures, and why did they choose this particular site? The landscape around Loughcrew is dotted with ancient burial mounds, stone circles, and other ritual sites, creating an intricate network of sacred spaces that suggests the area had a deep spiritual significance. But while the cairns are undeniably important, their builders remain largely unknown. The tombs at Loughcrew predate written history, and no records have survived to explain their purpose or the identity of those who built them. Were these sites built by the Celts, or by an even earlier, more mysterious culture? Some researchers speculate that they were created by a group of people who predated the Celts by thousands of years, perhaps belonging to a lost civilization that we have yet to fully understand. One theory suggests that the builders of Loughcrew were part of a wider Neolithic society that shared a common cultural and religious tradition across the British Isles and Europe. This theory is supported by the similarities between the cairns at Loughcrew and other megalithic sites, such as the passage tombs at Newgrange and Noath, which are located in the Boyne Valley not far from Loughcrew. These sites, which were constructed around the same time, also align with solar and lunar events, suggesting that the people who built them shared a profound connection to the natural world and the heavens above. But despite the commonalities between these sites, the builders of Loughcrew remain an enigma. Who were they, and what did they believe? The intricate carvings found at Loughcrew provide another tantalizing clue. These carvings, which adorn many of the stones within the cairns, include spirals, diamonds, and other symbols that have been interpreted in various ways. Some scholars believe that the symbols represent the sun, the moon, and the cycles of nature, while others argue that they might be representations of the human soul's journey into the afterlife. Could these carvings be a form of proto-writing, a symbolic language used by the ancient people to convey their beliefs about life, death, and the cosmos? Or were they simply artistic expressions tied to ritual and ceremony? The meaning of these symbols has been lost to time, but their presence at Loughcrew speaks to a deeper layer of the site's significance, one that connects the material world with the spiritual realm. Another intriguing element of the Loughcrew Cairns is the mysterious burial practices associated with them. Though many of the cairns are thought to have been used for burials, very few human remains have been discovered within them. This has led some researchers to speculate that the cairns may have been used for ceremonial purposes rather than solely as burial sites. Were the bodies of the dead placed in the cairns for a short period of time and then later removed or scattered? Or were the cairns meant to serve as symbolic tombs, representing a connection between the living and the dead, rather than housing the remains of the deceased? The Loughcrew Cairns, with their intricate designs, astronomical alignments, and mysterious origins, continue to challenge our understanding of ancient societies. Though archaeologists have uncovered a wealth of information about the site, much remains unknown. Why were the cairns constructed with such precision, and what did they symbolize to the people who built them? Did the builders of Loughcrew have knowledge of the cosmos that we have only begun to understand? Were these people part of a larger, unknown civilization whose influence spread across Europe? Or were they an isolated culture with a unique understanding of the world around them? As we stand before the Loughcrew Cairns, it's impossible not to wonder what else lies hidden beneath the earth. What other clues are buried in the landscape, waiting to be discovered? And what other mysteries of ancient Ireland remain locked away in time, waiting to reveal their secrets to those willing to search? The answers may lie just beneath the surface, waiting for the right questions to be asked. Until then, the cairns of Loughcrew will continue to stand as silent, awe-inspiring witnesses to a time and culture long forgotten. As we continue our journey through the ancient world, we now turn our attention to a remote and mysterious site nestled deep within the dense jungles of southern Mexico, Yaxchilan. While the majestic ruins of this ancient Maya city are well known, the lesser structures that lie scattered throughout the site remain a hidden treasure, their significance and function still not fully understood. These smaller, yet no less fascinating ruins hold secrets that challenge our understanding of the Maya civilization and its cultural practices. Yaxchilan, once a powerful city-state during the classic period of the Maya civilization, around 250 to 900 AD, is situated on the banks of the Usumacinta River, a strategic location that connected the Maya lowlands with the highlands and the rest of Mesoamerica. The city flourished as a political, religious, and economic center, and its magnificent structures, such as the well-known Temple 33, with its intricate carvings and imposing staircases, are testaments to the grandeur and complexity of the society that built them. Yet, for all its fame, much of the site's true story remains obscured, particularly when we look beyond the grand palaces and towering temples to the lesser structures scattered across the site. The lesser structures of Yaxchilan are not as visually imposing as their larger counterparts, but they hold within them an air of quiet mystery. Some are small temples or shrines, while others appear to be domestic or administrative buildings. Many are clustered together in the shadow of the more prominent structures, suggesting that they may have played a vital role in the everyday life of the city, though their exact purpose remains unclear. What is particularly intriguing is the way these structures are positioned, often near or around ceremonial spaces, yet in locations that are difficult to access or view. Were they designed to be hidden from the public eye, perhaps to serve a more secretive or exclusive function? Or did they represent an aspect of Maya society that has been lost to time, one that may not have been intended for the grandeur of public display. One of the most compelling features of the lesser structures at Yaxchilan is their connection to water. The city, which is situated along the banks of the Usumacinta River, had access to an important waterway that not only facilitated trade, but also held spiritual significance. Several of the smaller structures are located near or around pools and channels that seem to have been deliberately engineered to channel water through the site. Water, in many ancient cultures, was considered sacred and life-giving, often tied to rituals of fertility, cleansing, and the afterlife. Could these lesser structures have been designed as places of ritual purification, or perhaps as sites where water was used in religious ceremonies? While many of the larger temples and pyramids at Yaxchilan are adorned with elaborate carvings and hieroglyphs, the lesser structures often lack the same detailed inscriptions. Yet some of them do contain carvings that hint at their purpose or the people who used them. One such structure, located near the Grand Plaza, is believed to have been a small temple or shrine, but it contains a set of symbols that have baffled scholars. The carvings depict figures whose identities remain unknown, and their arrangement does not fit neatly into the known iconography of Maya art. These figures, with their enigmatic poses and strange attributes, suggest that the Maya of Yaxchilan may have had a more complex spiritual or ritualistic practice than we have yet uncovered. Could these lesser structures have been built for a different class of society, perhaps the nobility or religious elite, whose rituals and beliefs are not as well documented as those of the rulers and priests who built the grand temples? The mystery of these lesser structures deepens when we consider their potential relationship to the powerful rulers of Yaxchilan. Much of the knowledge we have of the city's rulers comes from the famous stelae and inscriptions found on the larger monuments, such as the stele of Shield Jaguar and his successor, Bird Jaguar. These rulers are often depicted as powerful figures engaged in warfare and religious rituals, their victories and deeds immortalized in intricate carvings. But the lesser structures suggest a different aspect of Maya society, one that may have been more focused on the spiritual, ritualistic, or domestic aspects of life. Were these structures part of the private world of Yaxchilan's rulers, or were they connected to the everyday lives of the common people? Did they represent a different, perhaps even more secretive facet of the society that existed in the shadows of the grand public monuments? Another intriguing aspect of the lesser structures is their relationship to the larger ceremonial complexes at Yaxchilan. Some of these smaller buildings seem to be positioned in such a way that they would have had a direct line of sight to the main temples and palaces. Were these structures designed to play a role in larger religious ceremonies? Or were they more personal spaces, set apart from the bustling ceremonial life of the city? Some scholars believe that these lesser structures may have been used by elites or priests for more private rituals, serving as spaces for meditation, reflection, or even communication with the gods. Given the importance of astronomy in Maya culture, it is also possible that these smaller buildings were designed to align with celestial events, providing a more intimate space for observing the heavens. Yet, despite the careful study of these structures and their surroundings, much about them remains speculative. Some researchers have proposed that the lesser structures could have been places of social or economic gathering, used by merchants, artisans, or other classes who were not part of the ruling elite, but still played a vital role in the functioning of the city. Others suggest that they may have been used as spaces for training or instruction, where younger members of society learned the religious, political, or economic skills needed to become part of the elite. The fact that these buildings are smaller and less decorated than the grand temples certainly implies a more utilitarian function. But their location and the careful construction of some of the features suggest a deeper significance that is still not fully understood. The less public nature of these structures raises another important question. Were they ever intended to be discovered? The positioning of some of the lesser buildings, often hidden within the jungle, suggests that they were not meant to be seen by outsiders. Could they have been deliberately concealed, perhaps to preserve the sanctity of the rituals performed within them? The thick jungle surrounding Yaxchilan only adds to this sense of secrecy, and the dense foliage that envelops the site today provides a sense of the isolation that these lesser structures may have once enjoyed. Was the city designed to maintain a strict separation between the rulers, the elite, and the common people? Were the smaller structures part of a carefully constructed social order, hidden from public view yet no less essential to the functioning of the city? As we stand before these lesser structures at Yaxchilan, it's impossible not to wonder what they might still be hiding. What other secrets lie buried beneath the earth, waiting to be uncovered? Could the answers to these questions provide us with a more complete understanding of Maya civilization, shedding light on the daily life, rituals, and beliefs of a people who left behind an enduring legacy of grandeur and mystery? Or are these smaller structures destined to remain just as enigmatic as the jungle that now surrounds them, lost to time, yet still whispering their secrets to those willing to listen? The mystery of Yaxchilan's lesser structures remains unsolved, but perhaps in time, the answers will be revealed. As we move deeper into the heart of the ancient Mediterranean, we come upon a site that quietly echoes the mysteries of an ancient culture, one whose origins and beliefs remain shrouded in enigma. Nestled in the rolling hills of Sardinia, in the island's northwest corner, lies the necropolis of Anghelu Ruju, a place of profound historical significance that has captivated archaeologists, historians, and curious travelers alike. Though it may not be as famous as some of the ancient cities of the Mediterranean, Anghelu Ruju's secrets are no less compelling. The necropolis, one of the largest and most intricate burial sites on the island, stretches across the rocky landscape in a way that evokes both awe and curiosity. A labyrinth of tombs, many carved into the soft red rock of the area, forms a surreal network of subterranean passageways and chambers. The name Anghelu Ruju itself, meaning red angel, is believed to refer to the deep reddish color of the rock from which the tombs are carved, as well as the haunting atmosphere of the site. It's an evocative name that hints at something otherworldly, and as we explore the necropolis, it becomes clear that this is no ordinary burial site. The history of Anghelu Ruju spans over 3 millennia, and the site reveals much about the spiritual and social practices of the ancient Nuragic civilization that once dominated Sardinia. The tombs at Anghelu Ruju are unique in both their design and their construction. Most of them are domus de Janus, a type of rock-cut tomb that was common in prehistoric Sardinia. These tombs are characterized by their smooth, rounded shapes and are carved directly into the rock, with entrances often leading to small chambers where the remains of the deceased were laid to rest. Some of these chambers have been found to contain intricate carvings, including representations of animals, human figures, and geometric patterns, symbols that have yet to be fully deciphered. These carvings suggest a deep symbolic significance, perhaps relating to the spiritual beliefs of the ancient inhabitants of Sardinia. What makes Anghelu Ruju particularly intriguing is the sheer scale and complexity of its tombs. The necropolis consists of more than 30 tombs, spread out over a vast area, each with its own unique features. Some are simple burial chambers, while others are much more elaborate, with multiple rooms and interconnected passageways. The tombs appear to have been used for multiple burials over a long period of time, possibly centuries, which suggests that Anghelu Ruju was a site of ongoing ritual and ancestral veneration. The use of such an extensive burial complex hints at a society that placed great importance on the afterlife, perhaps even seeing death as a continuation of life, or as a means to communicate with the divine or the ancestors. One of the most striking aspects of the necropolis is its possible connection to the broader Nuragic culture. This civilization, which flourished on Sardinia from the Bronze Age through the Iron Age, approximately 1800 to 500 BC, left behind a legacy of extraordinary stone structures known as nures, megalithic towers that were used for both defensive and ceremonial purposes. While much of the Nuragic culture remains mysterious, it is clear that the people of Sardinia placed great significance on the spiritual and ritual aspects of life. Could the necropolis of Anghelu Ruju have been part of a larger network of sacred sites connected to the Nuragic belief system? And if so, what role did the tombs play in the larger social and religious framework of the time? The alignment and positioning of the tombs within the necropolis is another feature that has piqued the interest of researchers. The orientation of some of the tombs, as well as their proximity to certain natural features of the landscape, suggests that the people who created Anghelu Ruju may have had an advanced understanding of astronomy. Some scholars believe that the tombs were intentionally aligned with specific celestial events, such as the solstices or equinoxes, pointing to a culture deeply attuned to the rhythms of the cosmos. In particular, the entrance to one of the tombs, known as Tomb 20, seems to align with the setting sun on the winter solstice, a possible indication of the importance of solar symbolism in the burial practices of the Nuragic people. Was this alignment a way of honoring the gods or ancestors? Or did it reflect a deeper spiritual belief in the cyclical nature of life and death? However, despite these clues, much about the necropolis remains speculative. Who were the people buried in Anghelu Ruju, and what did these tombs represent to them? The carvings and symbols found in the tombs suggest that the site was not only a burial ground, but also a place of ritual and perhaps even worship. Some of the motifs, such as the depiction of animal figures, could suggest that animals played a central role in the religious practices of the time. The presence of human figures in the carvings may indicate the belief in a pantheon of gods or divine ancestors, beings who had the power to guide and protect the living. Yet, these symbols are not universally understood, and interpretations of their meaning vary widely. Could they be part of a long-forgotten mythos, or were they merely abstract representations of more fundamental spiritual concepts? The mystery deepens when considering the origins of the tombs themselves. Although the Nuragic civilization is widely recognized as the culture responsible for the creation of Anghelu Ruju, there are also theories that suggest the site may have been used or repurposed by later civilizations, including the Phoenicians or even the Romans. This would mean that the necropolis, far from being the product of a single culture, could represent a site that held significance for various peoples over the course of centuries. Could the tombs have been reinterpreted, their original meanings altered or forgotten as different cultures came into contact with the site? And if so, what remnants of those changes might still be hidden in the layers of rock and earth beneath the surface? There are also whispers among archaeologists and historians about the possibility of hidden chambers or tombs within the necropolis that have yet to be discovered. Some believe that beneath the well-known tombs of Anghelu Ruju lies an even larger network of burial sites, possibly containing treasures or relics that could shed more light on the culture that built them. Given the scale and complexity of the site, it seems plausible that there could still be parts of the necropolis waiting to be unearthed, potentially revealing more about the people who lived and died there. The mystery of Anghelu Ruju also invites questions about the nature of death and the afterlife in ancient Sardinian society. What did these tombs represent to the people who built them? Were they a means of preserving the memory of the dead? Or did they serve as a means of connecting the living with the divine? The symbolism embedded in the tombs, from the carvings to the alignment with celestial events, suggests that the necropolis of Anghelu Ruju was not merely a final resting place, but a sacred site, a place where the boundaries between the physical and spiritual worlds may have been less distinct. As we stand before the tombs of Anghelu Ruju, it's impossible not to wonder what other secrets this ancient necropolis may still be hiding. The tombs, carved into the red rock of Sardinia, have withstood the test of time, their intricate carvings and mysterious designs offering only fragmented glimpses of the beliefs and practices of a long-lost culture. Could there be hidden chambers, undiscovered artifacts, or forgotten stories still buried beneath the earth, waiting for the right moment to be revealed? Perhaps as technology and excavation methods continue to advance, the mysteries of Anghelu Ruju will finally be unlocked, revealing answers to questions that have endured for millennia. Until then, the necropolis stands as a silent testament to the ancient people who built it, whispering their secrets to those who are willing to listen and wonder what still lies buried beneath the surface. As we leave behind the haunting tombs of Anghelu Ruju, we journey across the vast expanses of the Andean highlands toward one of the most remote and enigmatic sites in South America, the Vilcabamba Stone Complex. Nestled in the rugged and forested mountains of southeastern Peru, near the famous Incan stronghold of Vilcabamba, this ancient site remains shrouded in mystery, despite its remarkable features. Unlike the more well-known Inca sites such as Machu Picchu or Sacsayhuaman, Vilcabamba's stone complex has yet to reveal all of its secrets, and it stands as a testament to the ingenuity and possibly the spiritual or military significance of a people who left behind a deeply puzzling legacy. The Vilcabamba Stone Complex, which includes a series of large, meticulously shaped stones set into the natural landscape, sits hidden among dense vegetation and steep cliffs. Unlike typical Incan architecture, which is known for its precision stonework, the stones at Vilcabamba appear more irregular, as if carved and placed in response to the unique features of the terrain itself. Some of these stones are enormous, weighing several tons, and they seem to be placed with great care and purpose. Yet the reason for their construction remains unclear. The stones do not form a single building or temple. Instead, they appear to be part of a much larger, fragmented complex. As you approach the site, the first thing that strikes you is the way the stones seem to blend into the natural environment. Some are aligned with the surrounding mountains, while others seem to interact with the landscape in more subtle ways. There are large flat stones that could have once formed a platform, and others that are shaped to fit together in ways that seem deliberate, though their exact function remains unknown. There are also strange, rounded stones with unnatural shapes, as if they were carved to resemble something that has yet to be identified. Was this complex a ceremonial space, or perhaps a fortress designed to withstand the pressure of invasion from the expanding Inca Empire? The relationship between the Vilcabamba Stone Complex and the Inca Empire is one of the most intriguing aspects of the site. Vilcabamba itself was the last stronghold of the Inca resistance after the Spanish conquest, and it was here that the Inca ruler, Manco Inca, and his successors fought to preserve their way of life. Some believe that the stone complex might be connected to this last stand, serving as a hidden site of refuge, where the Inca could regroup and plan their final resistance against the Spanish. If this is true, then the stones at Vilcabamba could hold clues to the final days of the Inca civilization, and perhaps reveal more about their survival strategies in the face of overwhelming odds. While this theory is compelling, the evidence linking the site directly to the Inca is inconclusive. The stones at Vilcabamba do not display the characteristic tight-fitting masonry that is often associated with Inca architecture. Instead, they seem to be more closely related to pre-Incan traditions, such as the Chachapoya, or even earlier cultures, who lived in the region long before the rise of the Inca Empire. Could the complex have been constructed by these earlier civilizations, who were later absorbed into the Inca world? Or was it the Inca themselves who adopted earlier techniques, adapting the stonework to their own unique cultural and religious needs. One of the most striking features of the Vilcabamba stone complex is the presence of what appears to be astronomical alignments. Some of the stones are positioned in such a way that they seem to correspond with certain celestial events, sunrises, sunsets, and possibly even lunar alignments. This suggests that the site may have had a significant astronomical or spiritual function, as many ancient cultures in the Andes did. For the Incas, astronomy was not only a means of tracking time, but also a way of connecting with the gods. Could the stones at Vilcabamba have been used as markers for religious ceremonies tied to celestial events? Or perhaps, in the context of resistance, they served a more practical function, such as marking paths or important locations within the landscape? In addition to their potential astronomical significance, some of the stones at Vilcabamba are covered in faint carvings or symbols that resemble other pre-Incan cultures. These symbols are particularly intriguing because they don't appear to match the Incan iconography, which was largely focused on representations of deities, animals, and geometric shapes. The motifs at Vilcabamba are more abstract, and in some cases, they resemble designs found in other ancient Andean sites, suggesting that this site could be the product of a much older but equally sophisticated civilization. Could these symbols hold the key to understanding the true identity of the builders of the Vilcabamba stone complex? Or are they simply an amalgamation of different cultural influences over time? Some researchers believe that the stones might have been used for a form of ritual or symbolic communication. The careful placement of certain stones in relation to others could indicate the site's importance as a gathering space for ceremonies or as a place for the elite to communicate with the gods. Given that the Incas placed such importance on sacred landscapes, it is plausible that the site was designed with the intention of creating a powerful spiritual center, one that aligned the natural world with the heavens. Were these stones meant to represent deities, or perhaps were they markers of key events in Inca history, such as the rise and fall of emperors, the arrival of the Spanish, or the cosmic cycles of the universe? The mystery surrounding the Vilcabamba stone complex is compounded by the location itself. Perched in the remote hills of southeastern Peru, it remains relatively isolated and difficult to access. The dense jungle that surrounds the site has also helped to protect it from modern development, but it has also made it challenging for archaeologists to fully explore. While some studies have been conducted at the site, there are still vast areas of the complex that have yet to be investigated. Could the dense foliage be hiding even more stones, or perhaps evidence of more elaborate structures buried beneath the earth? What more could the landscape reveal if we are able to uncover the rest of this ancient site? The purpose and origin of the Vilcabamba stone complex remain largely unknown, and the questions surrounding it only seem to deepen as we learn more. Was it a place of spiritual power, a military outpost, or perhaps both? What did the builders of this complex hope to achieve by placing such significant stones in the landscape? And if the site was indeed a place of resistance, what role did it play in the final days of the Inca Empire? The more we explore, the more we realize that Vilcabamba, like so many other ancient sites, holds a depth of mystery that may never be fully revealed. The stones that rise from the Andean hills remain silent, guarding the secrets of a civilization that was lost to time, but may yet have more to tell. Until then, the Vilcabamba stone complex continues to inspire both awe and wonder, leaving us to question what still lies hidden, waiting to be uncovered. As we move further through the mist of time, we now find ourselves standing before one of Ireland's most mysterious and evocative prehistoric sites, the Creevykeel Court Tomb. Tucked away in the rugged landscape of County Sligo, just a stone's throw from the wild Atlantic coastline, Creevykeel is a monumental reminder of a time long past, a time when the ancient peoples of the island were beginning to lay the foundations of the societies that would later shape its history. The tomb itself is an impressive example of a court tomb, a distinctive type of burial structure found throughout Ireland and parts of Scotland, dating back to the late Neolithic or early Bronze Age, around 4000 to 2500 BC. Unlike other megalithic tombs, such as the more famous passage tombs at Newgrange or Knowth, Creevykeel is notable for its layout and construction, as well as the lingering mysteries that surround it. The structure is not just a simple burial mound. It is a carefully designed complex of stone chambers and enclosures, all arranged in a way that seems deliberate, even symbolic. The tomb is built with a series of large, flat stones, some of which are so massive that it's hard to imagine how the builders of this site were able to transport and place them without the use of modern tools. The entrance is marked by a series of upright stones that lead into a central court, which is surrounded by several smaller chambers. These chambers were likely used for burial purposes, with the remains of the dead placed in large stone-lined cists, rectangular burial boxes made of stone. The court, however, is the feature that sets Creevykeel apart from other tombs. This open area, which serves as the central focal point of the tomb, is thought to have been used for rituals, ceremonies, or communal gatherings. The way the tomb is constructed suggests that it was not just a place for the dead, but a space for the living to honor their ancestors and interact with the divine. The mystery of Creevykeel deepens when we look at its alignment with the landscape. While many other ancient sites in Ireland, such as the passage tombs at Newgrange, are aligned with solar or lunar events, Creevykeel's positioning seems to be tied to the natural features of the surrounding area. It sits within view of several prominent landmarks, including the nearby Benbulben Mountain, which is a distinctive flat-topped peak that towers over the landscape. Was this mountain seen as a sacred or symbolic feature by the tomb's builders? Perhaps a representation of the dwelling place of gods or ancestors? Some researchers have suggested that the layout of the tomb could be symbolic of the passage between life and death, with the central court representing the threshold between the two realms. One of the most intriguing features of Creevykeel is the presence of large standing stones placed around the tomb. These stones are not only impressive in their size, but many of them are intricately decorated with carvings. The carvings themselves are simple yet mysterious. Most are geometric shapes, spirals, and other abstract symbols. These motifs are common throughout prehistoric Europe, and their meaning has been the subject of much debate. Could they be representations of the cycles of life, death, and rebirth? Or were they a form of proto-writing, used to convey deeper spiritual or mythological messages? We can't be sure. But the presence of these carvings hints at a deeper level of belief and symbolism that goes beyond the mere construction of a burial site. Another mystery lies in the construction techniques of Creevykeel. The tomb is a testament to the advanced engineering skills of the Neolithic peoples who built it. The way the stones are fitted together, without mortar or binding material, suggests a deep knowledge of how to work with stone in the most precise and effective way. The tomb also appears to have been intentionally placed in a location that was not only strategic, but also deeply symbolic. Was the positioning of the tomb a conscious effort to integrate it into the natural world, to create a space where the living and the dead could coexist in harmony? Or did the tomb's builders use the landscape itself to imbue the site with a deeper meaning, a meaning that we have yet to fully understand? The question of who built Creevykeel and why remains unanswered. Archaeologists believe that the tomb was constructed by the ancient Neolithic people of Ireland, who were among the first to settle and farm the land. These people were part of a broader cultural movement that spread throughout Europe during the Late Stone Age, marked by the construction of large burial monuments and the rise of agriculture. The fact that the Creevykeel tomb is so well constructed and its layout so intricate suggests that it was likely a site of significant social and spiritual importance. It is believed that those buried here were likely members of the elite or ruling class, but this is difficult to confirm. As for why Creevykeel was built, we can only speculate. Some suggest that the tomb was constructed as a way to honor powerful leaders or ancestors, while others propose that it may have served a more communal purpose, acting as a gathering place for religious rituals or ceremonies. The fact that the tomb is located within a landscape of great natural beauty adds to the theory that the people who built it had a deep connection to the earth and the cycles of nature. The alignment with Ben Bulben Mountain in particular suggests that the site may have been seen as a sacred space where the earth and the sky met. Over the centuries, the site has remained relatively undisturbed, though it has suffered some damage due to erosion and the passage of time. The tomb's chambers, which were once filled with the remains of the deceased, are now empty, but the structure itself continues to stand as a testament to the ingenuity and spiritual depth of the people who created it. Today, Creevykeel remains a place of fascination for archaeologists and historians, who continue to study the site in an attempt to unlock its secrets. Yet, despite the work that has been done, many of the tomb's mysteries remain unsolved. What was the true purpose of the Creevykeel court tomb? Was it a place of power, a temple, or a burial site? What did the carvings on the stones mean, and how were they understood by the people who left them behind? And perhaps most intriguing of all, why was this particular spot chosen for such an elaborate and significant structure? The tomb's location, its design, and the presence of carved symbols all suggest a deeper, more complex purpose that we have yet to fully understand. As we stand before Creevykeel today, it's impossible not to feel a sense of wonder about the people who built this remarkable structure. What did they believe, and how did they see the world around them? The tomb is a window into a distant past, and as we look through that window, we're left with more questions than answers. What more lies buried beneath the stones and the earth, waiting to be discovered? What secrets does Creevykeel still hold, and will we ever fully understand the mysteries of this ancient site? For now, the answers remain elusive, and the tomb stands silent, waiting for those who dare to explore its depths further. As we leave behind the ancient and enigmatic tombs of Creevykeel, we journey across vast stretches of Southeast Asia, arriving at a mysterious and haunting landscape in the heart of Laos. Here, nestled in the rolling hills of Xiangkhouang province, lies one of the most puzzling archaeological sites in the world, the Plain of Jars. This sprawling site, scattered with over 2,000 massive stone jars, continues to mystify researchers and visitors alike. But what is the true purpose of this peculiar collection? And why did the ancient people of Laos choose to leave behind such an extraordinary and unexplained monument? The Plain of Jars is exactly as its name suggests, a vast plain dotted with enormous stone jars, many of which are between 3 and 10 feet tall, and some weigh as much as several tons. The jars are made of sandstone or limestone, and their surfaces are weathered by centuries of exposure to the elements. They vary in size and shape, with some being simple, roughly hewn shapes, while others have more intricate, well-defined lines. Spread across more than 50 sites within a 25-square-kilometer area, these mysterious jars form a landscape that is both eerie and fascinating. Despite being a well-known site for those interested in the ancient world, the true origins of the Plain of Jars remain one of the great archaeological mysteries of our time. Radiocarbon dating places the creation of these jars somewhere between 500 BC and 500 AD, indicating that they belong to a period long before recorded history. Yet, the identity of the people who built them and the purpose behind such a strange construction continues to elude us. What was the intention behind these enormous stone jars? And why were they scattered across such a vast expanse? The most widely accepted theory is that the jars were used as burial containers. Some archaeologists suggest that the jars may have been designed to hold the remains of important individuals or perhaps even entire families. In support of this theory, numerous human skeletal remains have been discovered at several sites on the plain, along with artifacts such as pottery, stone tools, and metal objects. These discoveries suggest that the jars were indeed used in funeral rituals. The practice of placing the deceased in large stone containers is not unique to Laos. Other cultures around the world have used similar methods in burial traditions, which adds a layer of familiarity to the mystery of the Plain of Jars. But while this theory provides a compelling explanation, it still leaves many questions unanswered. Why were the jars placed in such an unusual arrangement? And why were so many of them constructed if they were indeed used only for burial? Another theory suggests that the jars were not burial containers at all, but rather a kind of ritualistic monument. Some have speculated that the jars may have been used for religious ceremonies, possibly to honor gods, spirits, or ancestors. The sheer number of jars, more than 2,000 scattered across the plain, suggests that this site was of great significance, perhaps serving as a focal point for entire communities. Were these jars part of a grander, long-lost religious practice? Were they meant to symbolize the life cycle, or were they representations of something more abstract, such as the passage of time or the eternal nature of the spirit? The theory of ritualistic significance is further supported by the site's location, which is near other ancient sites that exhibit similar markers of ceremonial activity, although no definitive evidence has been found to prove this connection. The design and construction of the jars also raise further questions. The jars themselves are made from sandstone or limestone, and while they are not carved in the intricate, tight-fitting manner often associated with other ancient cultures, the fact that such large stones were moved and shaped with the technology available at the time is remarkable. Some of the jars even show signs of wear, suggesting that they may have been used repeatedly in ritual practices. The precision and scale of the jars point to a society with advanced knowledge of stoneworking and logistics, yet no written records or documentation exist to tell us who the people were who undertook such a massive project. There are also numerous local legends surrounding the Plain of Jars, and these tales have only deepened the site's mystery. According to some stories, the jars were created by an ancient king who, upon returning from battle, ordered that the jars be made to hold the remains of his soldiers. Other versions of the legend suggest that the jars were the product of a giant or a supernatural being who used magic to create the massive stone containers. These stories, while fascinating, are based on folklore rather than historical evidence, and they leave us wondering whether there is some kernel of truth hidden within them. Could these myths be based on the oral traditions of the people who lived in the area long ago? Or are they simply the result of centuries of storytelling, designed to explain the inexplicable? Some researchers have also proposed a more controversial theory, that the jars were used to store food, water, or grain. This theory, though largely speculative, suggests that the jars might have been part of a large-scale storage system designed to support the population living in the area. Given the significant size of the jars, it's possible that they could have been used for agricultural purposes, especially considering the fertile land surrounding the plain. However, the absence of any clear evidence supporting this theory makes it difficult to accept as the definitive purpose of the jars. One of the most unsettling aspects of the Plain of Jars is the ongoing presence of unexploded ordnance in the area. During the Vietnam War, the region was heavily bombed by U.S. forces, and many unexploded bombs remained scattered throughout the plain. This history of violence and conflict adds an eerie layer to the site, making it difficult to study and explore fully. Many researchers and archaeologists who work at the site must take great precautions, and some parts of the plain remain closed to the public due to the danger posed by unexploded ordnance. Could the presence of unexploded bombs also represent the intersection of ancient and modern histories at the Plain of Jars? Is there a connection between the violent history of the 20th century and the ancient cultures that once inhabited the land? Despite decades of study, the mystery of the Plain of Jars remains unresolved. While we have a few theories and some evidence to support them, the true purpose behind this strange landscape continues to evade us. Was the site built to honor the dead, or was it a focal point for religious rituals? Could the jars have had an entirely different, practical use that we have yet to understand? The unanswered questions only add to the allure of the site, drawing us in with the promise of uncovering something truly remarkable. As we gaze upon the vast expanse of stone jars, standing silent in the wilderness of Laos, we are left to wonder, what else remains hidden beneath the earth, waiting to be discovered? What secrets does the Plain of Jars still hold, and what can they teach us about the ancient people who built this extraordinary site? As the landscape stretches before us, one thing is certain. This ancient mystery continues to beg for answers, and perhaps one day we will uncover the truth behind the enigmatic jars that have defied explanation for centuries. As we move forward from the Plain of Jars, we find ourselves crossing the Mediterranean to the tiny island of Malta, where one of the most enigmatic sites of ancient history awaits, the Hypogeum of Ħal-Saflieni. Carved deep beneath the earth, this subterranean temple complex is as mysterious as it is awe-inspiring, holding secrets that have baffled archaeologists and historians for over a century. To stand before the entrance of the Hypogeum is to step into a world of the unknown, one where the boundaries between the living and the dead blur, and where ancient rituals, unknown to us, were once performed. The Hypogeum of Ħal-Saflieni, located in the heart of Malta's southern region, is a multi-chambered underground structure, believed to have been used as both a temple and a burial site. It dates back to around 4000 BC, making it one of the oldest and most well-preserved prehistoric sites in the world. Unlike other megalithic temples on the island, which are constructed above ground, the Hypogeum is entirely subterranean, a vast, complex labyrinth of rooms, halls, and passages that plunge deep into the rock beneath. Its sheer scale and the precision with which it was carved into the living stone make it a marvel of ancient engineering. As you enter the Hypogeum, the first thing that strikes you is the eerie stillness that surrounds the site. The walls, smooth and polished in some places, are adorned with intricate carvings and symbols, many of which remain unexplained. The stone is a warm, honey-colored limestone, giving the entire complex a golden, otherworldly glow. The deeper you venture into the chambers, the more you feel the weight of time pressing down upon you. This is a place where countless generations of people once gathered, buried their dead, and perhaps communed with the unseen. The Hypogeum is divided into 3 main levels, each descending deeper into the earth. The uppermost level appears to have served primarily as a place of worship or ritual. Large chambers with high ceilings are scattered throughout this area, and many of them feature remarkable acoustics. Sounds in the Hypogeum take on a strange, almost otherworldly quality. Voices reverberate in ways that suggest the site may have been intentionally designed to amplify and alter sound. Some researchers have even speculated that the acoustics of the Hypogeum were used in ancient ceremonies, perhaps to create an atmosphere that connected the participants with the divine or the spirits of the ancestors. But was this site really built for ritualistic purposes? And if so, why such extraordinary attention was paid to sound and acoustics? Beneath the first level, the lower chambers are far more labyrinthine, with narrow passages and small claustrophobic spaces. Here, the burial aspect of the Hypogeum becomes apparent. numerous skeletal remains have been found within these chambers, some of which are highly fragmented, suggesting that the tombs were reused over generations. In fact, it's believed that the Hypogeum served as the burial site for thousands of people over many centuries. Some scholars believe the site was used to house the elite or high-ranking individuals of ancient Maltese society. However, the way the remains were treated, often scattered or broken, has led some to question whether the burial practices were as ritualistic as they were functional. Could the Hypogeum have been used for a wider, more communal purpose, where the dead were placed here in a mass ceremonial fashion? The most famous feature of the Hypogeum is the so-called oracle room, a small chamber with extraordinary acoustic properties. In this room, voices or sounds reverberate in a way that seems almost supernatural, and some researchers have suggested that it was used for divination or prophecy. Could this be true? The very idea that this small, seemingly ordinary room could hold such power, and that it may have played a central role in the spiritual life of the people who built the Hypogeum, adds a layer of mystique to the site. Could the acoustics have been part of a larger system of rituals meant to communicate with the gods or ancestors? Or was the room a symbolic space, meant to induce a heightened state of consciousness or connection with the divine? While these theories are compelling, there is still much that remains unexplained about the Hypogeum. The fact that it is buried underground suggests that it may have had a more profound significance than a mere burial site or temple. Could the location itself, deep beneath the earth, be symbolic? In many ancient cultures, the earth was considered the realm of the dead, a place where souls could be reborn or pass into the afterlife. Was the Hypogeum intentionally built underground as a means of creating a connection between the physical world and the spiritual world? The fact that the site is carved into living rock only deepens the mystery, suggesting that the builders had a deep understanding of geology and acoustics, as well as an advanced knowledge of symbolic architecture. Perhaps the most intriguing aspect of the Hypogeum is its utter isolation. Unlike other ancient sites on Malta, which are open to the elements, the Hypogeum is hidden deep beneath the ground, accessible only by a narrow stairway that leads visitors into its subterranean depths. This isolation has led some to believe that the site may have been deliberately concealed, either to protect it or to preserve its sacredness. Was the Hypogeum a secret sanctuary, hidden from outsiders and used only by an elite group of individuals? Or was it a site of such immense spiritual significance that it was closed off to all but the most powerful or revered members of society? Adding to the mystery is the fact that the Hypogeum has never been fully explored. Despite extensive excavation work throughout the 20th century, much of the complex remains unexplored, and there are still parts of the site that are closed off to the public for safety reasons. Some experts believe that hidden chambers or even entire levels of the Hypogeum could still lie buried beneath the stone, waiting to be uncovered. Could these hidden chambers hold even more secrets about the people who built this underground wonder? The origins of the Hypogeum itself remain unclear. While it is believed to have been constructed by the prehistoric inhabitants of Malta, no written records exist to tell us who these people were or what their motivations were in building such a complex and mysterious structure. Some have suggested that the Hypogeum was constructed by a long-lost civilization, possibly one that had an advanced understanding of acoustics and architecture. Others speculate that it may have been built by a group of people with a deep spiritual or religious purpose, possibly related to death and the afterlife. Could this be a site dedicated to the worship of a forgotten god, or was it a sanctuary meant to connect the living with the dead? Despite the unanswered questions, the Hypogeum of Ħal-Saflieni remains one of the most compelling and mysterious archaeological sites in the world. Its underground chambers and intricate acoustics continue to captivate researchers and visitors alike, leaving us to wonder what other secrets lie buried beneath the surface. As we explore the depths of this ancient site, we are reminded that there is much about our distant past that remains hidden from view. What was the true purpose of the Hypogeum, and what does it tell us about the beliefs, practices, and knowledge of the people who built it? Perhaps, in time, more answers will emerge, but for now, the Hypogeum stands as a testament to the mysteries of the ancient world, inviting us to explore its depths and wonder at the secrets it still holds. After our journey through the subterranean wonders of the Hypogeum of Ħal-Saflieni, we now find ourselves in the misty hills of Ireland, where another ancient mystery awaits. Among the megalithic monuments of the island, Brownshill Dolmen stands as a towering enigma, a structure so massive and ancient that it challenges our understanding of the prehistoric people who built it. What secrets does this massive stone burial chamber hold, and what did it mean to those who placed it here so long ago? The Brownshill Dolmen, located just outside the village of Carlow in southeastern Ireland, is a remarkable and imposing megalithic structure, part of the passage tomb tradition that dotted the Irish landscape thousands of years ago. It is one of the largest dolmens in Europe, with the most striking feature being the massive capstone that rests on a series of upright stones. The capstone, which weighs an estimated 100 tons, is so large that it seems almost impossible for a civilization with primitive tools to have moved it into place. The sheer scale of the structure raises immediate questions. How could such an enormous stone be transported and lifted without the advanced technology we take for granted today? And what purpose did this immense structure serve in the lives of the people who built it? The dolmen itself is made up of a large, flat, horizontal stone, the capstone, supported by 3 upright stones. These stones enclose a chamber that would have once served as the burial site for the deceased. Archaeological studies suggest that the dolmen dates back to around 2500 BC, placing it within the late Neolithic or early Bronze Age period. The structure, while relatively simple in its design, reflects a sophisticated understanding of stone construction and engineering. Its builders, long gone, left behind no written records or detailed explanations for their choices, and as a result, Brownshill Dolmen remains an intriguing puzzle. One of the key questions surrounding the dolmen is its purpose. Like other similar megalithic structures found in Ireland and throughout Western Europe, Brownshill Dolmen is believed to have been a burial monument. The chamber beneath the capstone would have been used to hold the remains of the dead, and many of these tombs were likely reserved for the elite or significant members of ancient society. The placement of such a monumental structure, requiring considerable effort to build, suggests that the people of this time placed great importance on the afterlife and the honoring of the deceased. But the true significance of the site may not be so straightforward. Some researchers propose that the Brownshill Dolmen may have been more than just a burial tomb. It could have been a ritualistic or ceremonial site, used by the community for rites that connected them to their ancestors or to the divine. The dolmen's prominence in the landscape, its towering capstone visible for miles, suggests it may have also been a symbol of power or a focal point for community gatherings. Was it a place where the dead were not only buried, but revered, their spirits believed to influence the living? Could this massive stone structure have served as a symbol of continuity, linking the living to the world of the dead, bridging the two realms in a way that is hard for us to comprehend today? What remains particularly striking about Brownshill Dolmen is the precision with which it was constructed. The alignment of the stones, their carefully planned placement, and the sheer scale of the capstone suggest a level of knowledge and skill that goes beyond mere brute force. How did the builders, with no written language or heavy machinery, manage to transport and position such massive stones? There are no clear answers to this question, but several theories have been proposed. One possibility is that the builders used a combination of wooden sleds, ramps, and possibly even a system of levers to move the stones into place. However, even with these methods, the task would have been incredibly difficult. Could there have been other, now forgotten methods that allowed them to achieve such precision? The fact that the dolmen is so large and stands out so clearly in the landscape has led some to suggest that it could have had a symbolic function, perhaps as a marker for something beyond just a burial site. Some have speculated that the alignment of the dolmen might have had a connection to astronomical events, such as solstices or lunar cycles, much like the stone circles at other ancient sites across Europe. If the capstone was intentionally aligned to capture sunlight during a particular time of year, it could indicate that the site had a ritual significance tied to celestial events, reinforcing the idea that the dolmen was not just a place for the dead, but a place where the living could communicate with forces beyond their understanding. There is also a mythological element surrounding Brownshill Dolmen. Local legends tell of a powerful king who had the capstone placed upon the dolmen as a way to mark his resting place, ensuring his legacy would remain for generations to come. Such stories, though anecdotal, may hint at the role of powerful individuals in shaping the history of these ancient monuments. Were the dolmens built to honor great leaders, or figures who were believed to wield some form of divine power? The legend of a king associated with Brownshill Dolmen suggests that it could have been a symbol of royal or divine authority, a way of cementing power in the afterlife. Yet, there is a more intriguing and speculative idea that has persisted in some archaeological circles. The notion that Brownshill Dolmen, like many other dolmens around the world, might be linked to ancient astral beliefs or cosmic connections. In this theory, the dolmen could have been constructed as part of a larger system of sacred sites designed to track or align with astronomical phenomena. Could the positioning of the dolmen have been intended to mark the path of certain stars, or to serve as a visual representation of the relationship between earth and sky? Could the dolmen be part of a larger ritual system that sought to align human life with cosmic cycles? While there is no definitive evidence to support this claim, it is an intriguing possibility that has captured the imagination of many. One of the most striking features of Brownshill Dolmen is the fact that it is still standing today, despite centuries of weathering and natural forces that might have destroyed other megalithic structures. What does it mean that this ancient monument has survived so long? What did it mean to the people who built it? And how did it fit into their worldview? The durability of the dolmen suggests a culture deeply invested in permanence, a desire to leave a lasting mark on the landscape and perhaps on history itself. It is a reminder that, even in the face of time's relentless passage, certain things endure. As we stand before Brownshill Dolmen, it is impossible not to feel a sense of awe and wonder. The questions surrounding its purpose, construction, and symbolism continue to elude us, and the mystery of this ancient site remains unsolved. Was it a burial site, a ceremonial space, or something more? What knowledge and rituals were passed down through generations of the people who built it? And what other secrets might lie buried beneath the earth, hidden in the shadows of the massive stones? The Brownshill Dolmen continues to stand as a monument to a long-lost world, offering a glimpse into the beliefs, practices, and skills of the people who once inhabited this land. What they intended for future generations to understand about their culture, we may never fully know. But as we look upon its ancient stones, we can't help but wonder, what else could be hidden within the mists of time, waiting to be uncovered? The Brownshill Dolmen may still hold secrets, buried beneath the surface, that could illuminate our understanding of the distant past. As we journey further into the ancient world, we find ourselves standing at the foot of yet another colossal mystery. This time, we have arrived at the Dolmen of Roknia, a megalithic structure that rises like an ancient sentinel over the landscape of Greece. Tucked away in the rugged hills of the Peloponnese, this burial chamber is a testament to the ingenuity and spiritual depth of the people who lived here thousands of years ago. Yet, despite its size and significance, the Dolmen of Roknia remains shrouded in mystery. What secrets lie buried within its stones, and what purpose did it truly serve? The Dolmen of Roknia is not just another ordinary dolmen. It stands out due to its monumental scale and the sheer mystery of its design. Constructed with massive slabs of stone, the dolmen is large enough to hold several individuals, suggesting it was meant for more than just a single burial. The structure is made up of upright stones supporting a massive capstone, which weighs several tons and appears almost impossibly large for the technology of the time. To see it is to be transported back to a time when human ingenuity and effort were put to the ultimate test, creating something that would last for millennia. The dolmen is located on a hilltop, overlooking the surrounding valley. The landscape itself adds to the eerie aura that surrounds the site. The quiet, undisturbed environment of the region, with its rugged terrain and sparse vegetation, makes the dolmen appear even more otherworldly. As you stand before it, the question arises, what drew the ancient builders to this location? Was it the landscape itself that held significance, or was it purely a functional choice, one dictated by the need for a visible and prominent burial site? Radiocarbon dating places the construction of the Dolmen of Roknia somewhere around 1500 BC, a time when the ancient Greek civilization was beginning to take shape. The dolmen's builders were likely part of the broader cultural movement known as the Aegean Bronze Age, which saw the rise of impressive stone constructions, complex societal structures, and a deep engagement with burial practices. The dolmen, like many others of its kind, is thought to have served as a burial site, a resting place for the dead who were considered important or sacred by their communities. The large, seemingly solitary nature of the dolmen suggests that those buried here may have been of high status or revered within their society. But who were they, and what did the dolmen truly represent? While it is generally accepted that dolmens were used for burial purposes, there are other theories that suggest a more complex role for structures like the Dolmen of Roknia. Some archaeologists propose that the dolmen could have been a ritual space, used for religious ceremonies or as a place to honor the ancestors. The size and prominence of the dolmen in the landscape suggests that it may have also served as a symbolic marker, a point of connection between the living and the dead. Was the dolmen a site where people gathered to conduct rituals in order to communicate with the spirits of the departed, or perhaps to invoke the favor of gods or nature spirits? Was it a place where the community came together to mark important events or passages in their lives? The very construction of the Dolmen of Roknia raises intriguing questions. How was such a large, heavy capstone transported and lifted into place? The sheer scale of the stones involved in the dolmen's construction would have required advanced knowledge of engineering and organization. No written records exist to explain how these ancient people achieved such a feat, but several plausible theories have been put forward. It's likely that simple yet effective techniques, such as wooden sleds, ramps, and leverage, were employed to move the stones. But even with these methods, the level of precision and the coordination required to complete such a task suggest a highly organized society, one with a clear understanding of how to manipulate the landscape and resources to their advantage. There are also elements of the dolmen that point toward astronomical significance. Some researchers have suggested that the alignment of the dolmen could have been designed to capture certain celestial events, such as the rising or setting of the sun, the phases of the moon, or the positions of stars. Ancient cultures often imbued their monuments with cosmological meaning, using the heavens as a guide for spiritual or ritual purposes. Was the Dolmen of Roknia similarly constructed to mark an important astronomical phenomenon? Could its builders have been attempting to synchronize their rituals with the movements of the stars or the changing of the seasons? Adding to the mystery of the Dolmen of Roknia are the carvings found on some of the stones that make up the structure. Though much of the dolmen has been weathered and worn over time, some markings remain visible, suggesting that the stones were not merely functional, but were also symbolic. These carvings, which resemble abstract shapes or geometric patterns, may hold clues about the spiritual or cultural beliefs of the dolmen's creators. Could these symbols represent a form of writing or communication, lost to us over millennia? Or were they simply decorative, intended to imbue the structure with a sense of sacredness and reverence? While the Dolmen of Roknia is a fascinating and significant archaeological site, many questions about it remain unanswered. Some researchers have wondered if there might be more to the dolmen than meets the eye. Could there be other hidden chambers beneath the surface, or was the dolmen part of a larger complex of monuments that once stood nearby? The fact that much of the surrounding landscape has yet to be fully explored leaves room for speculation about what might still be uncovered. Are there more secrets buried beneath the soil, waiting for modern archaeologists to uncover them? Or could there be undiscovered rituals or practices tied to this site that we can only guess at? The Dolmen of Roknia also invites us to reflect on the societal context in which it was built. What does the presence of such a monument tell us about the culture and values of the people who constructed it? Was it purely a burial site, or did it serve a more communal or spiritual function? The idea that this dolmen may have had multiple purposes, a place of burial, a site of ritual, and a cosmic marker, suggests that the ancient builders saw their world as deeply interconnected. The dolmen was likely more than just a resting place for the dead. It may have been a bridge between the physical and spiritual realms, a place where the living could commune with the dead, and perhaps even influence their fate. As we stand before the Dolmen of Roknia, its massive stones standing firm against the passage of time, we are left with more questions than answers. What did this structure truly represent? What beliefs and rituals were tied to it? How did the people of the Bronze Age understand their relationship with the land, the stars, and the spirits of their ancestors? And perhaps most hauntingly, what other hidden monuments, messages, or sacred sites might lie buried in the hills, waiting to reveal their secrets? The Dolmen of Roknia remains a powerful symbol of the mysteries that lie just beneath the surface of history, a reminder that the past is never fully understood, no matter how much we uncover. The stones stand silent, their secrets locked away for now, but perhaps in time, we will finally be able to piece together the puzzle of this ancient and remarkable site. As we leave behind the mysteries of the Dolmen of Roknia, we venture further into the ancient landscapes of Egypt, where another enigma quietly awaits, the Osireion. Hidden deep within the temple complex of Abydos, the Osireion is a site so enigmatic that it has remained one of Egypt's most intriguing archaeological puzzles. Standing just outside the shadow of Egypt's oldest and most revered temples, it is a structure that has long captivated the imaginations of researchers, travelers, and even the ancient Egyptians themselves. The Osireion, often referred to as the Tomb of Osiris, is an ancient underground structure located near the Temple of Seti I in Abydos, one of the oldest and most sacred sites in Egypt. The complex is built within a massive rectangular pit, its stone walls adorned with strange carvings and symbols. The most striking feature of the Osireion is the intricate maze-like layout that seems to mimic the very shape of the Nile River and the surrounding desert. The chambers are made of huge sandstone blocks, and the structure is filled with a labyrinth of corridors, rooms, and subterranean vaults. The centerpiece of the Osireion is a large, rectangular, well-like structure, which some believe may have served as a symbolic burial site for the god Osiris, the ancient Egyptian deity of life, death, and resurrection. One of the most striking features of the Osireion is the mysterious alignment of the structure. Many researchers have noted that the site appears to be intentionally positioned in relation to certain celestial events, particularly the annual flooding of the Nile, which was seen as a powerful symbol of renewal and rebirth in ancient Egyptian thought. The layout of the Osireion, with its intricate passageways and the alignment of its chambers, suggests that it may have been designed to represent the journey of Osiris through the afterlife, a journey filled with both death and resurrection. But what was the purpose of this mysterious underground structure, and why was it built in such a way? The Osireion's function remains one of the greatest mysteries of Egyptian archaeology. While it is widely accepted that the structure is associated with Osiris, it is not entirely clear whether the Osireion served as a tomb for the god, a place of ritual, or a site of ceremonial activity. Some scholars suggest that the Osireion was a funerary monument meant to honor Osiris and mark his connection to death and resurrection. Others propose that it may have been a ritual center, a place where the pharaohs and priests of ancient Egypt performed sacred ceremonies to honor Osiris and ensure the continuation of life after death. The connection between Osiris and the afterlife is a fundamental aspect of ancient Egyptian religion, so it is not surprising that the Osireion would be built with such deliberate symbolism and complexity. Another compelling theory suggests that the Osireion was not just a place of burial or ritual, but may have had astronomical significance. The Egyptians were known for their sophisticated understanding of the stars, and many of their monuments were aligned with the heavens. Some researchers believe that the Osireion may have been designed to align with specific celestial events, such as the rising of certain stars or the solstices. Could the Osireion have served as a kind of celestial observatory? Was it designed to mirror the movements of the stars and the cycles of the natural world, reinforcing the idea of cosmic renewal and regeneration that was central to Egyptian religious thought? The evidence for the Osireion's celestial significance is largely speculative, but the alignment of the structure with the Nile River, as well as its association with Osiris, whose journey to the afterlife was believed to mirror the cycles of nature, suggests that this site may have been far more than just a simple tomb or ceremonial space. Was the Osireion a monument to the eternal cycle of life and death, a symbolic bridge between the mortal world and the afterlife? Was it a place where the living could connect with the divine and ensure that the gods would grant them eternal life, just as Osiris was granted eternal life after his death? Adding to the mystery is the advanced stonework that went into constructing the Osireion. The stones used in its construction are massive, some weighing several tons, and their precision suggests an advanced knowledge of engineering and architecture. How were these giant stones moved and shaped so perfectly? The sheer scale of the Osireion, combined with the precision of the stonework, suggests that its builders possessed a deep understanding of both the material world and the symbolic significance of the stones they used. Could the stones themselves have held special meaning, symbolizing the solid foundation of the earth, or the eternal nature of the gods? Or could there be something even more profound at play, with the stones acting as conduits for spiritual or cosmic energies? The walls of the Osireion are decorated with intricate carvings and reliefs, many of which depict scenes from Egyptian mythology and offer symbolic representations of the journey to the afterlife. The carvings feature gods, rituals, and scenes that speak to the profound spiritual beliefs of the ancient Egyptians. Yet, much of the iconography and symbolism remains unclear. There are images that seem to depict the descent into the underworld, while others seem to suggest a rebirth or transformation. Could these symbols reveal more about the purpose of the Osireion, or are they simply expressions of the ancient Egyptians' understanding of life, death, and the afterlife? Perhaps one of the most perplexing aspects of the Osireion is its location within the Temple of Seti I. The temple itself is a grand structure, dedicated to Seti I, one of Egypt's most powerful pharaohs. The fact that the Osireion is located beneath the temple complex, seemingly hidden away from view, raises questions about its intended purpose. Why build such an extraordinary structure so far beneath the surface, away from the main temple and the public eye? Some have speculated that the Osireion was meant to be a secretive, sacred space, accessible only to the highest-ranking priests and pharaohs. Others suggest that its position may have been symbolic, representing the journey into the underworld that one must take before achieving rebirth. Even the name Osireion raises further intrigue. While it is commonly believed that the site is associated with the god Osiris, there is no definitive evidence to confirm that it was indeed built as a tomb for him. Could the name be symbolic, representing a larger concept, perhaps the eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth, rather than a specific tomb for a specific god? Or is there something more to the name that we have yet to uncover, something hidden in plain sight? As we stand at the edge of the Osireion, gazing into its depths, it is clear that this site holds more questions than answers. The purpose of the Osireion, its relationship to Osiris, and its true significance in the larger context of ancient Egyptian culture remain unresolved. Was it a tomb, a ritual center, or a symbol of cosmic renewal? What was the true meaning behind its intricate layout and its celestial alignment? And why was it built with such precision and care, only to remain shrouded in mystery for millennia? The Osireion stands as a reminder that even the most grandiose monuments can still conceal secrets, secrets that may one day be uncovered, but only after much more time and study. What other hidden spaces, hidden messages, and hidden meanings lie beneath the surface of ancient Egypt's monuments? The mystery of the Osireion continues to beckon us, urging us to look deeper into the past and uncover the truths that still lie buried beneath the sands of time. After exploring the enigma of the Osireion, we now turn our attention to a more remote and elusive mystery: the Dwarfie Stane, a solitary and enigmatic stone structure located on the windswept island of Hoy in the Orkney Islands, off the northern coast of Scotland. In contrast to the grand monuments we've encountered, the Dwarfie Stane stands alone, quietly defying explanation. Is it a tomb, a temple, or something else entirely? As the rugged landscape of Orkney stretches around it, the Dwarfie Stane beckons us to uncover the story it holds, hidden beneath centuries of wind, weather, and myth. The Dwarfie Stane is a Neolithic burial chamber carved into a massive sandstone rock. It is a striking sight, a large rectangular stone with a carved entrance, which leads into a small, dark, and almost claustrophobic interior. The stone, though natural in its shape, has been meticulously hollowed out, suggesting that it was not simply a boulder left to rest where it lay, but was instead transformed into something purposeful, something designed to endure the ages. The entrance to the chamber is a narrow, almost tunnel-like opening, with the remnants of carved steps that lead down into the interior. Inside, there is a small space, big enough to fit a few individuals, perhaps a body or two. The walls are smooth, and the overall effect is a strange blend of nature and human intervention. This rock, though it looks so much like part of the natural landscape, is undeniably altered. But why? The mystery of the Dwarfie Stane is made all the more intriguing by its location, on the remote island of Hoy, far from the major hubs of ancient civilization. The structure's isolation raises several questions. How did the people who created it transport the tools necessary to carve such a chamber? And more importantly, who were these people? And what was the purpose of the Dwarfie Stane? Archaeologists suggest that it dates back to around 3000 BC, placing it firmly within the Neolithic period. But that still leaves us with an ocean of uncertainty about its original function. The most common theory is that the Dwarfie Stane served as a tomb, a place where the dead were laid to rest in a manner befitting their high status. Burial chambers like these were not uncommon in prehistoric times, but the Dwarfie Stane's location and the method of its construction make it unique. Its solitary nature is striking. Unlike many tombs that were part of larger burial complexes, The Dwarfie Stane appears isolated, as if it was meant to be a personal or sacred space for one or a few individuals. The small, confined interior seems more fitting for an intimate ritual than a public burial, suggesting that it may have been reserved for an elite individual or family. Was it a final resting place for a revered figure? Or perhaps a leader whose memory was meant to be preserved in a solitary, monumental space? The idea of it being a tomb is not without merit. In many ancient cultures, tombs were built as much for the living as for the dead. These structures often served as symbols of power and status, and their construction required a great deal of effort and resources. The Dwarfie Stane, with its carefully hollowed-out chamber and symbolic location, could very well have been a statement about the significance of the deceased and the desire to honor them. But what makes the Dwarfie Stane stand out is the fact that it is carved directly from the rock itself, suggesting that it was not just a tomb, but a sacred site, chosen specifically for its natural properties. The location of the Dwarfie Stane is also significant. The Orkney Islands, with their history of ancient stone circles and megalithic tombs, were long considered an important part of the Neolithic world. The Dwarfie Stane stands as a solitary sentinel in this rugged landscape, and some researchers have wondered if it had more of a ritualistic or ceremonial purpose than a mere tomb. Could it have been a place where rituals were performed to honor the deceased? Was it a site of worship, or perhaps even a portal to the afterlife, in the minds of the people who built it? The idea of the stone being used in spiritual practices is compelling, especially when you consider that its isolation and unique construction might have given it a special, otherworldly quality. Another theory suggests that the Dwarfie Stane could have served as a ritual space for the living, perhaps a place where ceremonies were held to honor the gods or the ancestors. In many ancient cultures, stones were seen as powerful symbols, capable of connecting the mortal world with the divine. The Dwarfie Stane, carved into the natural rock and situated in an area so far from civilization, could have been viewed as a sacred space, where the boundaries between the world of the living and the world of the dead were thin. Could the structure have been a site where people gathered to perform ceremonies meant to invoke the gods or seek guidance from the spirit world? What makes the Dwarfie Stane even more intriguing is the legendary connection that it holds with the mystical and the unknown. The site gets its name from local folklore, which tells of dwarves, small, mythical creatures, who once inhabited the stone. According to the myth, the dwarves built the stone chamber to house their leader, but after an argument among themselves, they abandoned the site, leaving the stone empty. This folkloric story may just be the product of centuries of oral tradition, but it adds a layer of mystery to the site. Was the Dwarfie Stane connected to beliefs in supernatural beings, or was it simply a reflection of the ancient people's deep connection to the land and the power they believed the stones held? While it is tempting to dive into the realm of myths and legends, we must remember that the historical facts we have available are not so easily explained. The Dwarfie Stane, though a striking and mysterious monument, offers few concrete answers. The origins of the site, its builders, and its true purpose remain elusive. The question of whether it was primarily a tomb, a ceremonial site, or something more remains open to interpretation. And even if it was a burial site, who were the people buried there, and what made them so significant that they warranted such a monumental structure? Perhaps the most puzzling aspect of the Dwarfie Stane is its construction technique. How was such a large stone hollowed out with the tools of the Neolithic era? The rock itself is not easily worked, and the precision with which the interior of the Dwarfie Stane was carved suggests a level of craftsmanship and understanding that seems almost beyond the capabilities of the time. Were the builders of the Dwarfie Stane part of a lost civilization, with skills and knowledge that have since been forgotten? Could there be a deeper meaning to the way this site was created? Perhaps a secret passed down through generations, hidden in the stone itself? As we stand before the Dwarfie Stane, gazing at its weathered, mysterious surface, we are reminded that some ancient structures continue to defy easy explanation. The Dwarfie Stane may have been a tomb, a ceremonial site, or something else entirely. Its true purpose remains unknown, and the answers to its riddles may never fully come to light. But as with all mysteries from the distant past, it is the questions, those that still remain unanswered, that keep us searching, keep us wondering, and keep us looking deeper into the shadows of history. What secrets are still hidden in the stone of the Dwarfie Stane? And what might we discover if we are willing to listen to the stories that this ancient monument still has to tell? The mystery endures, and as we continue our journey through these bizarre ancient archaeological wonders, the Dwarfie Stane stands as a reminder that there is always more beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered. As we leave behind the windswept remoteness of the Dwarfie Stane, we now journey toward the banks of the Nile, where yet another strange and enigmatic site waits for us to uncover its secrets. Hidden away in the southern stretches of Egypt, not far from the famous temples of Karnak and Luxor, lies a site that has been mostly overlooked by history's spotlight, the Gebel el-Silsila rock shrines. But those who take the time to visit this sprawling complex of ancient shrines, carved into the very rock of the Nile's western bank, soon realize that it is no ordinary site. Instead, it is a place where stone and spirit seem to blend, and where the lines between the natural and the sacred become increasingly blurred. The Gebel el-Silsila rock shrines are a collection of ancient Egyptian rock-cut temples and shrines that stretch along the Nile for several kilometers. Carved directly into the sandstone cliffs overlooking the river, these shrines form part of a larger complex that was likely used by the ancient Egyptians for centuries, from the New Kingdom period, around 1500 BC, to the Roman era. The site is so vast and intricate that it could take days to explore in full, with numerous temples, inscriptions, and other carvings scattered throughout the area. As you approach the rock shrines, the scale of the site becomes clear. The cliffs rise sharply from the desert floor, and the sight of massive rock-cut chambers and hieroglyphic inscriptions etched into the stone creates a feeling of awe and reverence. It's easy to imagine what it must have been like for ancient Egyptians to come here, to gaze up at these towering stone structures and worship the gods from this magnificent vantage point. But despite its undeniable grandeur, Gebel el-Silsila remains an enigma. For centuries, it was lost to history, hidden in the shadows of Egypt's more famous temples and monuments. It wasn't until the 19th and 20th centuries that archaeologists began to uncover its secrets, and even now, much of the site remains unexplored. The shrines themselves, though impressive, raise many questions. What were they built for? Why were they constructed in such a remote and difficult-to-reach location, far from the bustling centers of Egypt's ancient civilization? And what do the carvings and inscriptions etched into the stone reveal about the religious practices of the time? The rock shrines at Gebel el-Silsila are often described as places of ritual significance, where priests and devotees would have come to honor the gods. Several shrines dedicated to gods like Horus, Amun, and Thoth are found here, along with inscriptions detailing the victories and deeds of various pharaohs. These gods, central to ancient Egyptian religious life, were often worshipped in locations such as these, believed to hold special spiritual power due to their proximity to the sacred Nile River. The shrine complex at Gebel el-Silsila is aligned with the Nile, suggesting that the river itself held a vital role in the rituals conducted there. Perhaps it was here, on the banks of the river that nurtured life and death, that the ancient Egyptians believed they could connect with the divine. What makes the site even more intriguing, however, are the carvings and inscriptions found in the rock chambers. The walls are adorned with detailed depictions of gods, pharaohs, and ceremonial rites. Some of these carvings, though similar to those seen at other Egyptian sites, are unique in their presentation, offering a glimpse into the deeper mysteries of the site. Some researchers suggest that the inscriptions may have held more than just religious meaning. Could they have been ritual instructions? Or perhaps they were magical formulas meant to protect the shrine and its visitors from evil forces? In the absence of definitive translations, it is hard to say for certain, but the idea that these carvings served a dual purpose, both religious and magical, is a possibility that cannot be ignored. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Gebel el-Silsila rock shrines is their connection to the nearby quarries. Unlike many other temples and shrines in Egypt, which were constructed from stones brought from distant quarries, the sandstone used to build the shrines at Gebel el-Silsila was quarried on site. This makes the site unique in that it may have served not only as a religious center, but also as a place of labor and industry. It is likely that the workers who carved these shrines were also involved in quarrying the very stone that would eventually become sacred. This integration of labor and spirituality raises intriguing questions. How did the ancient Egyptians view the relationship between work and worship? Did the act of quarrying and carving stone imbue the laborers with a sense of divine purpose, or was the work itself considered an offering to the gods? There is also speculation about the ritual significance of the quarries themselves. Quarries, in many ancient cultures, were thought to be places of liminality, where the boundaries between the physical and spiritual worlds were blurred. The act of extracting stone from the earth was often viewed as a rite of passage, a connection to the underworld and to the divine. In the case of Gebel el-Silsila, this connection to the earth could have been seen as a metaphor for the spiritual journey. Just as the stone was quarried and shaped, so too were the souls of the dead believed to be transformed in the afterlife. Did the ancient Egyptians who worked in these quarries view themselves as participants in this spiritual transformation? Yet despite the seemingly straightforward nature of these explanations, the sheer remoteness and seclusion of Gebel el-Silsila raises further questions. Why was this particular location chosen for such an important and sprawling site of worship? What made the cliffs of Gebel el-Silsila so sacred in the eyes of the ancient Egyptians? Some researchers have suggested that the area might have had a cosmic or astronomical significance, linked to the positioning of the stars or the sun's movement along the Nile. Could the location have been deliberately chosen to align with celestial events, such as solstices or equinoxes? Was Gebel el-Silsila seen as a gateway to the heavens, a place where the gods could be called upon directly during certain times of the year? The site's alignment with the river, combined with its monumental construction, certainly suggests a deep understanding of celestial rhythms. Others have speculated that the shrines at Gebel el-Silsila could have served a more practical role, as a place for travelers and merchants passing through the region to stop and make offerings before continuing on their journeys. Given its location along the Nile, a major trade route of the ancient world, the site may have also been a strategic place for religious and commercial exchange. Were these shrines built not only to honor the gods, but also to provide a point of connection between the various peoples and cultures that traverse the Nile? But while these explanations are compelling, they still leave many questions unanswered. What lies hidden within the deeper recesses of the Gebel el-Silsila complex? Are there hidden chambers or shrines yet to be uncovered by modern archaeologists? What do the hieroglyphs on the walls truly mean? And do they offer us more clues about the mysterious practices that took place there? And perhaps most intriguingly, what deeper connection exists between the physical quarries, the sacred space of the shrines, and the soul of Egypt itself? As we reflect on the Gebel el-Silsila rock shrines, it is clear that this site remains a powerful, silent witness to an ancient world we are still only beginning to understand. The mystery of Gebel el-Silsila calls out to us from the rock, urging us to peel back the layers of time and explore the deeper meanings behind its construction, its carvings, and its purpose. What role did it play in the religious and spiritual life of the ancient Egyptians? And what secrets still lie hidden in its chambers and quarries, waiting to be discovered? As we continue our journey through the bizarre and ancient archaeological mysteries of the world, the Gebel el-Silsila rock shrines stand as a testament to the power of stone and spirit, reminding us that the past, though distant, is never truly forgotten. As we leave behind the sacred shrines of Gebel el-Silsila, we now turn our attention to another mysterious site, this time tucked away in the serene and quiet countryside of western France. Here, amid the rolling hills and tranquil landscape, lies the Tumulus of Bougon, an ancient burial site that has intrigued archaeologists and historians for centuries. Far from the monumental stone structures of Egypt or the temples of Mesopotamia, this enigmatic mound offers us a glimpse into the rituals and beliefs of a people who lived long before written history. But like so many other ancient burial sites, the Tumulus of Bougon harbors more questions than answers, and its significance remains shrouded in mystery. The Tumulus of Bougon is a megalithic burial mound, or tumuli, located in the region of Deux-Sèvres in southwestern France. Its size and complexity set it apart from other tumuli in the area, making it one of the most significant prehistoric sites in Europe. Comprising a series of burial chambers constructed using large stone slabs, the mound is estimated to have been built around 4500 BC during the late Neolithic period. It consists of a collection of 5 distinct mounds, some of which have been excavated to reveal carefully constructed passageways and large, stone-lined chambers, while others remain largely untouched. The chambers within the tumulus were used to house the deceased, along with a variety of grave goods such as pottery, tools, and other items, all suggesting a highly organized and purposeful burial ritual. The sheer scale and sophistication of the Tumulus of Bougon are astonishing, particularly when one considers the time in which it was built. The burial chambers are remarkably well constructed, with massive stones, some weighing several tons, stacked meticulously to create subterranean chambers. Inside these chambers, archaeologists have discovered numerous human remains, carefully placed in positions that suggest elaborate funeral rites, though many of the bones show signs of cremation. The burial goods found alongside these remains, which include finely crafted pottery and tools, suggest a society that possessed significant cultural and technological knowledge. Yet, the purpose behind this elaborate burial practice remains unclear. The Tumulus of Bougon is notable not only for its size and construction, but also for the unusual layout of its burial chambers. Unlike many other burial mounds of the same period, which typically feature a simple central chamber, the Tumulus of Bougon includes multiple chambers, each possibly designated for different individuals or families. The stones used in the construction of the chambers are carefully placed, indicating that those who built it had advanced architectural knowledge. The alignment of the chambers, too, has raised questions. Were they intentionally aligned with celestial events, or did they have symbolic significance to the ancient people who constructed them? The meticulous nature of the design suggests that these early inhabitants of the region placed great importance on the spiritual or ritual significance of the site. While the tumulus itself has yielded many clues about the ancient people who constructed it, many questions remain unanswered. One of the most puzzling aspects of the Tumulus of Bougon is the absence of written records. Unlike the Egyptians or the Sumerians, who left behind vast amounts of written material detailing their religious practices and beliefs, the people who built the Tumulus of Bougon left no such records. What did these ancient people believe in, and what did the burial chambers represent to them? Was the tumulus a simple burial site, or did it serve a more ritualistic or ceremonial purpose, perhaps linked to beliefs about life, death, and the afterlife? One theory suggests that the Tumulus of Bougon may have been a ritual center, a place where the community came together not only to bury their dead, but also to perform ceremonies designed to honor the spirits of their ancestors. The inclusion of so many grave goods, objects meant to accompany the dead into the afterlife, suggests that these ancient people had complex beliefs about death and the afterlife. Were they attempting to ensure that their loved ones would be well equipped for their journey into the next world? Or were they offering sacrifices to the gods, hoping to secure favor for the living? Other theories suggest that the Tumulus of Bougon may have served as a symbol of social status and power. The effort required to construct such a massive and intricate burial mound would have been considerable, and it's likely that the people who oversaw its construction were part of an elite class. Did the tumulus function as a monument to the power of the deceased, perhaps signaling their high status or influence within the society? The size and scale of the Tumulus of Bougon would certainly suggest that it was built for important individuals, perhaps leaders or priests, whose deaths were seen as occasions for grand rituals and elaborate funerary practices. Another mystery surrounding the Tumulus of Bougon is the nature of the human remains found within the chambers. Archaeologists have discovered both cremated and uncremated remains, suggesting that different burial practices were used at different times. Some of the human remains are believed to belong to individuals who were buried shortly after their death, while others appear to have been exhumed, cremated, and then reburied. This raises the question, was there a transition in burial practices over time, or were these different methods used to honor different groups of people? Could the differences in burial methods reflect the changes in social or religious practices throughout the centuries? The tombs in the Tumulus of Bougon have also been noted for their distinctive architecture, which sets them apart from other Neolithic burial sites in Europe. Some of the chambers are constructed with large capstones that create a roofed passage, while others are open, creating a sense of space and light inside. The varying designs and construction methods suggest that the builders were experimenting with different forms of architecture, possibly seeking to create a structure that was both functional and symbolic. Was the placement of the chambers and their design meant to reflect the stages of life or the journey to the afterlife? One particularly intriguing aspect of the Tumulus of Bougon is its connection to the wider prehistoric landscape of the region. The tumulus is located near several other important prehistoric sites, including dolmens and stone circles, which were used by ancient peoples for ritualistic and ceremonial purposes. Could the Tumulus of Bougon have been part of a larger network of sacred sites, linked by the same spiritual or ritualistic beliefs? And if so, what did these sites represent to the people who lived in this area thousands of years ago? Some researchers have even suggested that the Tumulus of Bougon could have been a place of astronomical significance. Given its size and the deliberate layout of the chambers, it's possible that the ancient people who built it were aligning the tumulus with celestial events, such as the solstices or the rising of certain stars. Could the tumulus have functioned as an astronomical observatory, used to track the movements of the heavens and align with the changing seasons? As we explore the mysteries of the Tumulus of Bougon, it's clear that much about this site remains unknown. While archaeologists have uncovered important clues about its construction and its role in ancient society, the true meaning of the tumulus remains elusive. Was it a monument to the dead, a ritual center, or a symbol of social status? The evidence we have suggests that it was all of these things, and yet there is still so much we don't understand. As we peer into the past, we are reminded that even the most well-studied archaeological sites can still hold secrets waiting to be uncovered. What truths lie hidden in the burial chambers of the Tumulus of Bougon, and what can we still learn from the people who built it so long ago? The answers, as always, lie buried in the stones, and perhaps in the questions we continue to ask. After examining the mysterious burial rites of the Tumulus of Bougon, We now turn our attention to a site nestled deep within the rugged hills of Sardinia, Italy, a place where the veil between the natural world and the supernatural seems particularly thin. This is Monte Baranta, a site that has long intrigued archaeologists and historians for its unusual combination of ancient stone structures and the enigmatic remains scattered throughout its landscape. Hidden in plain sight, Monte Baranta is a place where the passage of time seems both tangible and elusive, where ancient rituals and practices are still only partially understood. Monte Baranta is located near the town of Alghero, on the northwestern coast of Sardinia. It is a site that blends seamlessly with its surroundings, rolling hills, dense forests, and rock-strewn terrain. The location itself evokes a sense of isolation, with no obvious landmarks or signs to indicate that it is home to one of the most curious ancient complexes on the island. Yet, scattered throughout the area are numerous megalithic structures that stand as silent witnesses to a time long past. These include dolmens, menhirs, and nuraghes, which point to the island's long history of megalithic construction during the Bronze and Iron Ages, roughly between 1600 BC and 1000 BC. The most prominent feature of Monte Baranta, however, is its sacred well, a well-like structure that has been carved directly into the rock. This well, like many other sacred wells found throughout Sardinia and beyond, likely had significant ritualistic and spiritual importance for the ancient people who inhabited the region. The well at Monte Baranta is not just a simple water source. It is a carefully constructed feature, with stone steps leading down to the water, suggesting that it may have been used for ritual bathing or as a means of purification. The water itself, clear and serene, remains a reminder that, even in a place so seemingly remote, life, spiritual and physical, was deeply connected to the land. However, while the well is striking, it is the other megalithic structures at Monte Baranta that truly deepen the mystery. The menhirs, or standing stones, found throughout the area are scattered haphazardly across the landscape, some towering high above the ground, while others lie half buried in the earth. The positioning of these stones, often in alignment with celestial bodies or natural features like the setting sun or certain stars, hints at a sophisticated understanding of astronomy and ritual. But their exact purpose is unknown. Were they simple markers for travelers, or did they serve as part of a larger ritual landscape, marking sacred boundaries or honoring celestial events? Or could they have functioned as part of an ancient calendar, helping the people of Sardinia track the seasons or the movements of the stars? Adding to the intrigue are the tomb structures scattered across Monte Baranta. These tombs, sometimes simple and sometimes elaborate, provide a glimpse into the funerary practices of the people who lived here. Some of these tombs are chamber tombs, built into the rock and often accessed through narrow, dark corridors, while others are circular burial structures made from massive stones. The tombs are often found near the standing stones or in proximity to the sacred well, suggesting a deliberate connection between death, the afterlife, and the natural world. But what can we infer from these tombs? Were they the resting places of leaders, priests, or ordinary individuals? Did the positioning of the tombs serve some deeper spiritual purpose, perhaps connecting the dead with the stars or with the forces of nature? One of the most puzzling aspects of Monte Baranta is the absence of clear written records. Like many ancient sites in Europe, Monte Baranta was built long before the advent of writing, and so much of its history has been lost to time. The absence of written documentation means that we must rely on the physical evidence left behind, stone structures, tombs, artifacts, to piece together the history of the site. Yet this very lack of documentation adds to the mystery, allowing the site to exist as a blank canvas, open to a wide range of interpretations. Many archaeologists have suggested that the site was part of a wider network of sacred places scattered across the island of Sardinia. The region is home to several other significant megalithic structures, including the famous nuragis, which are stone towers found throughout the island. These towers are thought to have served as defensive structures, ritual centers, or even astronomical observatories. Could Monte Baranta have served a similar purpose? Was it a place of worship, where people gathered to honor the gods and the ancestors, or was it something else entirely? The careful positioning of the megaliths and the intricate nature of the tombs suggest a highly organized society with a deep connection to the earth and the cosmos, yet the true function of the site remains shrouded in mystery. Some researchers believe that the structures at Monte Baranta were designed with specific astronomical alignments in mind. Similar to other megalithic sites in Europe, such as Stonehenge in England or Newgrange in Ireland, the standing stones may have been placed in alignment with the rising or setting sun, the solstices, or certain stars. This suggests that the people who built Monte Baranta had a sophisticated understanding of the heavens and how celestial events affected life on Earth. Was the site used to track the changing of the seasons, or did it serve as a ritualistic gateway between the human world and the divine? Despite the undeniable presence of these megalithic structures, some researchers argue that Monte Baranta might have been a center of cultic activity, used for rituals of sacrifice or communication with the gods. In Sardinia, there are long-standing traditions of sacred groves and sacred spaces that were thought to bridge the human and divine realms. Could Monte Baranta have served a similar role, where the sacred well and the menhirs were central to spiritual practices meant to bring the living into communion with the divine? Perhaps the well itself was seen as a portal to the underworld, the water symbolizing both life and death in the same way that rivers and springs often do in many ancient cultures. However, as much as scholars have speculated about the possible uses of Monte Baranta, the truth remains elusive. The site is far from fully explored, and there may be many more layers to its history that have yet to be uncovered. Could there be more tombs hidden beneath the earth, or even undiscovered chambers yet to be found? Are there more artifacts buried in the soil, waiting to shed light on the daily lives of the people who built these megaliths? And what of the spiritual significance of the site? Does Monte Baranta still hold secrets about the ancient people's views on life, death, and the afterlife? The question remains, what was the true purpose of Monte Baranta? Was it a sacred site of ritual and worship, a burial ground, or a place of astronomical observation? As we continue to explore the strange and mysterious archaeological wonders of the past, we are reminded that not all questions have easy answers. Some sites, like Monte Baranta, continue to defy explanation, standing as silent monuments to a past we can never fully recover. The stones, standing tall and weathered, still whisper their secrets to those willing to listen, and perhaps, one day, the answers we seek will finally come into focus. Until then, the mystery of Monte Baranta endures, a testament to the enduring connection between humanity and the mysterious forces of the ancient world. Leaving the enigmatic landscape of Monte Baranta behind, we now find ourselves thousands of miles away, on the western edge of the African continent, where another mysterious site waits to reveal its secrets. The stone circles of Senegambia, scattered across the plains of Senegal and the Gambia, form an extraordinary complex of megalithic structures that have long puzzled archaeologists, historians, and explorers alike. These ancient stone formations, often regarded as one of the greatest megalithic sites in the world, carry with them a sense of both awe and mystery, offering us a glimpse into the ancient societies of West Africa that we know too little about. The stone circles of Senegambia are a series of over 1,000 megalithic structures spread across the Senegal River Valley in both Senegal and the Gambia. These stone circles are not just isolated occurrences, but part of an immense network that seems to stretch across the landscape like a vast, forgotten constellation of stones. The largest and most famous of these circles is located in Senegal, near the village of Senegambia. This particular circle is made up of towering granite stones, some reaching up to 2 meters tall, and it is one of the most significant archaeological sites in West Africa. As you stand amidst these stone giants, it is hard not to feel a sense of reverence. The stones, weathered by time and the elements, stand silently against the backdrop of the open plains, the African sun casting long shadows across their surfaces. The arrangement of these stones is both deliberate and mysterious. They are typically arranged in circles, but not always. Some circles have been altered or broken, as though the landscape itself has been shaped by forces beyond human control. There are even some formations that appear to stretch into lines or semicircular patterns, further suggesting that these stones were placed intentionally. While the circles themselves are awe-inspiring, it is the questions that they raise that truly capture our imagination. Who were the people who built these stone formations? What was their purpose, and what did they symbolize? The age of the stone circles is a matter of ongoing debate, but it is believed that they were constructed by the ancient Serer people who lived in the region as far back as 3000 BC. The primary function of the circles is not entirely clear, but they are thought to have been used for religious and ceremonial purposes, possibly as sites for ancestral worship, burial rituals, or astronomical observation. The positioning of the stones, many of which are arranged in alignment with the solstices or other celestial events, suggests that the people of Senegambia possessed an advanced understanding of the cosmos. This is not just a site of stone and earth, but of knowledge, one that may have been used to track the movements of the stars, the sun, and the moon. It is easy to imagine the people of this ancient society gathering around these stones, perhaps at dawn or dusk, to mark the changing of the seasons or to communicate with the gods through ritual and ceremony. But despite the impressive nature of these formations, very little is known about the specific beliefs or practices of the people who created them. One of the most compelling aspects of the stone circles of Senegambia is their connection to the wider cultural and historical context of West Africa. It is often assumed that the ancient civilizations of Egypt or Mesopotamia were the only ones capable of such monumental construction. Yet the stone circles in Senegambia prove otherwise. The people of Senegambia, isolated from the major cradles of civilization in the Old World, were still able to create massive stone structures, testament to the ingenuity and capabilities of societies that we know too little about. This raises an intriguing question. How did these ancient people come to possess such knowledge of astronomy, construction, and geometry? In addition to their alignment with celestial bodies, some researchers have suggested that the stone circles were used for burial purposes, with the stones marking the resting places of important individuals or groups. While this is a plausible explanation, the sheer number of stones, often far more than would be needed for a simple burial, suggests that the circles may have had a more symbolic or communal function. Could these circles have served as ritual gathering places for ceremonies related to life and death, or were they possibly the sites of social gatherings or festivals that celebrated agricultural cycles or the changing seasons? The sheer scale of the site only deepens the mystery. Some of the circles contain up to 200 stones, while others are smaller, with only a handful of stones still standing. The stones themselves are thought to have been quarried locally from the granite bedrock in the region. However, how these massive stones were moved and positioned so precisely remains a puzzle. Given that there are no large settlements or monumental construction sites nearby, It is unclear how the people of Senegambia would have had the resources and manpower to transport such massive stones over long distances, particularly in a time before modern technology. The mystery of their construction adds yet another layer of intrigue to the site. Some scholars have suggested that these stone circles may have had an astronomical significance, similar to other megalithic sites like Stonehenge in England. Certain stone arrangements align with the sunrise and sunset on specific days of the year, most notably during the solstices. Could these stone circles have functioned as solar observatories, where ancient people measured time and tracked the cycles of the earth? Or were they meant to honor celestial bodies that held significance in the beliefs of the Serer people, perhaps the sun, moon, or specific stars? Despite the speculative theories, there is one thing that cannot be denied. The mystery surrounding the stone circles of Senegambia is profound. The sheer scale and complexity of the site, coupled with the complete lack of written records, mean that we are left to ponder its true significance. The stone circles stand as silent witnesses to a time when the people of this region possessed a deep understanding of the world around them, from the celestial heavens to the very earth beneath their feet. Perhaps the most perplexing element of the stone circles of Senegambia is the lack of historical documentation about the site. Unlike the Nile Valley civilizations or Mesopotamia, which left behind written records to explain their beliefs and practices, the people of Senegambia did not leave us with much to go on. There are no texts, no inscriptions, no detailed accounts from ancient observers explaining what the stone circles were for. The absence of this information means that we are left with only the stones themselves, silent, enduring markers of a lost civilization. Were the stone circles of Senegambia purely ritualistic, meant to connect the living with the divine? Or were they part of a larger, more complex system of knowledge that extended beyond religion and into astronomy, governance, or even agriculture? Theories abound, but concrete answers are still elusive. What role did the stone circles play in the life of the people who built them? And could they still hold secrets that modern archaeologists have yet to uncover? As we continue our journey through the strange and fascinating world of ancient archaeological mysteries, the stone circles of Senegambia stand as a testament to the enduring power of the past. They remind us that history is not always written down. It is sometimes carved into the very landscape itself, in stone and in silence. And in that silence, perhaps we will one day find the answers to the questions that continue to echo through the ages.